破壊
Episode 18. The battle against the gods of destruction begins. Surrounded by the 12 Hakaishin who gaze at them with ravenous expressions, Goku and Vegeta are in shock. What does this mean? Weren't they all dead? Vegeta questions. Well, I've been to planet Namek recently, Cumber begins to explain. Using the Dragon Balls of that planet, I made some very convenient wishes. First, I wished to know your origins, something that piqued my curiosity. My second wish was for the dragon called Porunga to bring me all the Dragon Balls that exist in all the universes. But he said he couldn't do that because it was beyond his magical abilities. But he could bring me all the orbs present in Universe 7. Lastly, I wished to instantly learn the language of all dragons, so I could make a wish to all of them. After Cumber explained all of this, Goku recalls the Dragon Balls that existed on planet Cereal, realizing that just as there were orbs on that planet, there must be others in different parts of the universe. Vegeta, speaking to Cumber, asks if he needed all the Dragon Balls to bring back the 12 gods of destruction. Cumber says that not all dragons can resurrect more than one person at a time, and in the case of the immensely powerful gods of destruction, it's even more complicated. There were dragons that could grant up to 10 wishes, but they had enough magical energy to resurrect only one Hakaishin. In other cases, he needed to combine the magical powers of 2 or more dragons to resurrect a god, and so on. But did I use all the wishes to bring back the gods, or did I use them for something else? Cumber asks with a sly smile, leaving a mischievous mystery hanging in the air, irritating Goku and Vegeta. The evil Saiyan King continues his explanation. Once the gods were resurrected, it was easy for me to simply dominate them with my energy, since unlike Vegeta, they didn't possess the necessary ability to destroy my energy once it was inside their bodies. Goku tries to provoke Cumber, saying that if he's a true Saiyan, he would want to defeat his enemies with his own hands, not by ordering others to do it. Cumber laughs at this and replies that he may be a Saiyan, but he's not a foolish one. He acknowledges that Goku and Vegeta are still too mysterious to him, and his victory is not assured. So he wants to learn more about them and evolve further to defeat them. The 12 gods of destruction begin to emanate their energies more intensely, indicating that the confrontation is about to begin. Goku and Vegeta stand back to back facing their adversaries. Goku comments that if they are possessed by Cumber's energy, they are definitely stronger than they would normally be. Vegeta agrees, but then smiles and says that at least this makes the fight more interesting. Goku also smiles, agreeing. Hellas is the one to start the battle, magically summoning her battle bow and shooting an arrow at the two of them. Goku and Vegeta dodge it while separating, letting the arrow fly straight through, destroying a wall of the castle and heading far away. Vegeta counters by charging towards the goddess to land a punch on her, but Hellas simply stands still and lets Sidra, who steps in front of her, protect both of them with his shield. Vegeta's punch is blocked by Sidra's shield, and then Jin takes the opportunity to attack Vegeta from behind. But Goku prevents the attack with a flying kick that pushes the god of destruction from Universe 12 out of the castle. Sidra dispels his shield to counterattack Vegeta, but Vegeta blocks his strike and counterattacks with a move that sends Sidra and Hellas out of the castle. At the same time, Arak tries to strike Goku, but Goku grabs his arm, maneuvers the body of the god of destruction from Universe 5, and throws him at Quaitela, the god of destruction from Universe 4, who was coming to attack, but is also thrown out of the castle. Belma charges at Goku, but he is hit by a blast of energy from Vegeta that also sends him out of the castle. However, Vegeta is soon taken out of the building himself, as he receives a joint flying kick from Beerus and Champa, who carry him outside. Rumshi from Universe 10 runs toward Goku, ready to strike him and carry the Saiyan out as well. But Goku skillfully performs a somersault over him and launches the elephant deity out with an energy blast. Simultaneously, he also sends the robot deity Moscow out with another energy blast, as Moscow tries to seize the opportunity to catch him in the air. However, Goku can't avoid Ivan and Likir, who reach him with a punch and a kick before he lands. Goku defends against the attacks, but he's still carried out of the castle by the force of the duo's attack. When Goku reaches the sky outside the castle, he sees a chaotic battle raging between Vegeta and the other Hakaishins, with explosions filling the sky. Iwan and Likir exit the castle and continue their sequence of attacks against Goku, who struggles to dodge and defend against their blows. But he has to put in even more effort when Moscow and Rumshi join the fray. Surrounded by 4 gods of destruction attacking from all sides, Goku finds himself at a significant disadvantage. He disappears from their midst with instant transmission and reappears at another point to attack with a Kamehameha that would hit all 4. However, they react quickly and release 4 waves of power simultaneously, easily overpowering Goku's Kamehameha, forcing him to dodge. Goku also has to dodge Belmod, who arrives from behind with a flying kick, only narrowly missing thanks to Goku's quick reflexes with Ultra Instinct. Even after missing the first attack, the Clown God doesn't give up and advances to try other attacks, all of which prove ineffective against Goku's formidable defensive abilities. Vegeta retreats through the sky while exchanging blows with Beerus and Champa, at the same time defending and counterattacking the Twin God strikes. Sidra arrives from behind to attack, unable to defend against attacks from the front and the attack from behind. He escapes from between them, moving a few meters away. However, Hellas takes advantage of this opening, firing an arrow at the Saiyan God. He instinctively turns, putting his arm in front of his body, inadvertently having his forearm pierced by the goddess's arrow. Following this, she extends her hand towards Vegeta, releasing an energy wave that sends him from the sky to the ground. Once Vegeta is on the ground, Hellas fires another arrow in his direction, but suddenly, this single arrow of hers multiplies into dozens of other arrows. When Vegeta realizes it, a rain of arrows is coming in his direction. Seeing that Vegeta was in danger, Goku, who was exchanging blows with Belmod, pushes him back with a punch, and then points his hand at Vegeta to teleport him away, allowing Hellas's arrow rain to only pierce the ground. Taking advantage of Goku's distraction, Moscow approaches from behind and attempts to grab him in his hands, just as he did with Beerus in the Battle of the Gods. However, Goku is cleverer, simply escaping Moscow's grip by jumping over his hands and delivering a spinning kick. Belmod comes from behind to strike Goku, but Vegeta flies in from the side, rushing at the Clown God and carrying him away. Vegeta takes Belmod to a mountain where they collide with the God of Destruction of Universe 11, getting stuck among the rocks. But as Vegeta was about to deliver a punishing series of punches to Belmod, his ki noose wraps around his forearm. This ki noose was thrown by Liquor, who pulls Vegeta toward him with force and lands a knee to the Saiyan's face. Afterward, Likir starts spinning Vegeta with his ki noose and then hurls him in the direction of Rumshi. Rumshi grabs Vegeta in midair and descends with him headfirst toward the ground, making Vegeta hit the ground headfirst and dangle like a nail. Next, Arak attacks, unleashing a rain of ki spheres toward him, hitting Vegeta and creating numerous explosions, turning the terrain into a battlefield. While Goku was exchanging blows with Champa and Iwan, he saw what happened to Vegeta and shouted in concern for him. This distraction was enough for Iwan's punch to land, followed by Champa's kick and then Jin's flying kick, who arrived to attack vigorously. After being knocked back by Jin's flying kick, Goku started launching several ki blasts at the 3 gods, but the 3 Hakaishans evaded them well. Quaitella approached from behind Goku to attempt a sneak attack, but he managed to notice and dodge, starting a quick exchange of blows with Quaitella, who soon received support from Hellas. Exchanging blows from the Universe 2 goddess and the Universe 4 god, Goku is forced to retreat. Arak takes advantage of this to attack Goku from behind, but then Vegeta appears in front of Goku, blocking the attack from the God of Destruction from Universe 5. He angrily says that he will pay for that barrage of attacks just a while ago. Vegeta lands a super strong punch on Arak and then unleashes a series of ki spheres against him. Unfortunately, Sidra intervenes, protecting his comrade with a shield. "Damn it!" Vegeta exclaims. At one point, Goku catches Quaitella's kick and hurls him toward Vegeta while shouting a warning. Vegeta receives the Rat God thrown at him with a kick, sending Quaitella flying and returning in Goku's direction. Goku avoids Quaitella, letting him pass by and hit Hellas, who was coming to continue the attack. Goku and Vegeta stand back to back, assuming their combat stances, both heavily panting. Vegeta tells Goku that he attempted to use Forced Spirit Fission to rid the gods of Cumber's energy, but he couldn't. "That damn guy may have used the Dragon Balls in some way that made them immune to my ability," he supposes, annoyed. It looks like there's no way around it. Vegeta, we'll have to defeat them the old-fashioned way, Goku says. Vegeta remarks that facing all 12 of them at once is very complicated, since as they are under Cumber's energy control, their movements are much more coordinated than they would normally be. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta don't have a good synergy. Goku agrees and mentions that fighting all 12 at once is very difficult, because the battle becomes chaotic and unpredictable, affecting Vegeta more, who doesn't have reflexes as sharp as his. Goku suggests that they split up, thus separating the gods. Perhaps it's easier to face half of them individually than all of them together. Vegeta agrees with the idea. In no time, they are surrounded again by the 12 gods. Vegeta tells Goku that they should fight elsewhere, and the one who wins first can come to fight Cumber. Goku likes the idea of this competition, and so he agrees and says he will win this bet for sure. Both Goku and Vegeta use instant transmission, disappearing from the gods' view, and leaving them very surprised. Goku and Vegeta reappear on distant planets, each going to the corner of the universe, getting as far away from planet Cumber as possible. They start emanating their powers with great intensity, purposefully letting the gods on planet Cumber sense their energies. Cumber, who was observing everything from his castle, also feels their power and understands what they're trying to do. The Saiyan King laughs, saying that these two are very interesting guys. Cumber then allows the gods to slip up to go after the two Saiyans, and so they do, with 6 going to each side. In the northern hemisphere of the universe, Vegeta waits for his opponents on the planet, where he decides to begin his battle, a barren desert-like planet. In no time, his 6 opponents arrive, having traveled a long stretch of the universe. The 6 Hakaishins who will face Vegeta and Sidra, Mosca, Quitella, Champa, Beerus, and Iwan. Seeing his 6 opponents, Vegeta smiles with satisfaction and says it will be a lot of fun to destroy all of them. In the southern hemisphere of the universe, on a completely frozen planet, Goku awaits his opponents. The wait is not long as they arrive extremely quickly. Jin, Likir, Arak, Helles, Rumshi, and Belmod will be his opponents. Seeing these 6, Goku is a bit disappointed that Beerus didn't come to fight him, but he remembers that in the other reality, he already fought Beerus, so it's only fair that Vegeta fights him this time. In the face of the 6 gods of destruction, Vegeta begins to emanate his energy, creating a powerful purple aura. The other destroyers do the same, but their auras are not just purple, they also have a dark tone due to Cumber's malevolent power. Champa is the first to attack, heading straight for Vegeta at full speed. However, Vegeta doesn't just stand there waiting, he charges against the Hakaishin of Universe 6, intercepting his advance with a knee to the face that sends Champa tumbling. Right behind Champa comes Quitella, whose punch is caught by Vegeta. In retaliation, Quitella receives a counter kick that sends him flying high into the air. The third to approach is Beerus, who manages to strike Vegeta with a kick that hurls the Saiyan Hakaishin to the ground, making him bounce several times before regaining his stance. Following this, he is surrounded by Sidra and Moscow, who approach from the sides, delivering several blows against the Saiyan god. Vegeta does his best to evade, causing the ground to be crushed where he once stood. As he moves away, he fails to notice Iwan closing in from behind. He is then hit by a barrage of ki blasts. While Vegeta is bombarded by Iwan's multiple attacks, Quitella advances with a direct punch to his stomach, followed by a chin-kicking kick that sends Vegeta soaring. While in the air, he is now hit by Sidra, who throws him to the side with a kick, right where Moscow was already prepared to hit him with a double punch that works like a real sledgehammer that throws Vegeta back to the ground. Just as he goes straight against a knee from Champa, which hits him in the stomach and makes him vomit his own blood at the moment of impact. After landing the knee, Champa lands another blow that launches Vegeta towards Beerus, who was already waiting for him, with a sphere of concentrated energy in his hand, and throws the spear against the Saiyan, who hits the target at the same time as he unleashes a gigantic explosion. After enduring the explosion, Vegeta is launched to the other side of the planet, clearly considerably injured. After getting up, he shows great anger, and then begins to unleash even more of his power, vowing that these damn guys will pay. On the frozen planet, Goku soars through the sky, dodging multiple energy attacks fired by his 6 opponents. At one point, he surprises everyone by instantly teleporting behind Likir and trying to hit him with an energy beam. Likir avoids it thanks to his reflexes, but Helles, who was nearby, ends up being hit. After dodging, Likir advances to attack Goku, but his blow is evaded and countered with a kick by Goku, launching Likir towards Rumshi, who was close behind. Rumshi avoids Likir but leaves an opening for Goku to land a full-fledged kick to the face. Belmod, Arak, and Jin arrive simultaneously to strike Goku. He struggles to defend himself and evade their attacks, but ends up taking some hits from them. At one point, Goku manages to hold back a punch from Jin and another from Arak, and then he fires a wave of ki from his mouth that knocks away Belmod, who was about to punch him. After pushing Belmod away, Goku dodges a kick from both Jin and Arak, who executed this attack to make him release his grip. Dodging these kicks while disappearing from both of them at high speed, Goku reappears shortly after, landing a kick that sends Jin flying and then advances against Arak with a series of blows. After pressing the Hakaishin for a few fractions of seconds, Goku manages to get a gap, lands a series of blows on him, and then throwing him away to attack with a Kamehameha. But his Kamehameha is deflected by a blow from Rumshi, who steps in front, protecting Arak, and then counter-attacking with an energy shot that Goku needs to dodge. Darn, it's exhausting dealing with all these guys, he thinks. Goku notices a massive concentration of power coming from Jin, who emits a huge aura of destruction energy while undergoing a transformation process. The God of Destruction of Universe 12 begins to grow very thick scales on his body, scales so thick they resemble natural armor. At the same time, his claws almost double in size, and the destroyer displays a much wilder and menacing appearance. What's this? Goku wonders, amazed by it. Jin advances against him in a much more ferocious way, attacking with a series of punches and kicks that made Goku step back due to the immense force and speed. This guy became much stronger in an instant. Goku observes while dealing surprise with the attacks of the destroyer. A rain of energy shots from Champa falls towards Vegeta. He prevents the attacks from reaching him by firing an equal amount of energy, causing multiple explosions between the sky and the ground. After so many energy collisions, Champa starts to have a disadvantage, until he starts to be targeted by multiple attacks from Vegeta and hit by a series of explosions. Iwan steps up behind the Saiyan to attack, but Vegeta releases a power aura to push away the Hakaishin of Universe 1. Seeing Moscow approaching, Vegeta uses instant transmission to appear in front of him, touching the robotic body of the Universe 3 Hakaishin and engulfs him in a wave of power. Next, Vegeta receives a series of blows from Beerus, but he finds an opening to counterattack, striking with an attack that hurls the Universe 7 Hakaishin far away. He then deals with the God of Universe 4, who arrives with a chest punch that Vegeta feels but resists well. He counters with an attack that also sends Quetella flying. Sidra is next, arriving from behind Vegeta, landing a flying kick, but to the Universe 9 God of Destruction's surprise, Vegeta doesn't even flinch. Turning to face the 9th Universe God behind him, Vegeta smiles at him insanely. The massacre begins. Vegeta starts advancing against Sidra, delivering a series of extremely heavy punches to the other Hakaishin. While mercilessly striking Sidra, Vegeta says, "Each of your attacks only serves to increase my anger and make me stronger. My desire for destruction only grows, and my body becomes stronger and more resilient with every strike." One of Vegeta's punches simply pierces Sidra's abdomen, and at the same time, Vegeta comments, "Among the gods, you have the best defense, and I know why." Sidra attempts to react with a punch toward Vegeta, but the Saiyan grabs his hand and then breaks it. While doing so, he continues, "You are the best defense simply because compared to the other gods, your attack power is a joke." Vegeta removes his hand from Sidra's abdomen and then grabs his neck, beginning to strangle him. "The blow of a weak god like you will no longer cause any pain to me." But to Vegeta's surprise, words come out of Sidra's mouth. "Weak god?" he repeats. "What? Can you understand me?" Vegeta asks. Sidra begins to emanate even more power, pushing Vegeta away abruptly. "What's going on now?" Vegeta questions, annoyed. Sidra screams as his aura of power starts to boil in an intensely different way. His muscles gloriously grow in an instant, revealing a muscular mass that would make any bodybuilder envious. His hair also grows, significantly increasing in length and taking on a spiker appearance. The God of Destruction of Universe 9 has just revealed his final form, containing all of his power. Sidra attacks with voracity. The blow is a punch that Vegeta attempts to defend against, but the other Hakaishin's first pierces his block and embeds itself into his ribs, causing the Saiyan God to grimace in pain. "What kind of strength is this?" Vegeta questions. The next punch goes directly to his face, causing Vegeta to literally traverse the planet from one side to the other. In the place of Zeno, the almighty deity watches the battles taking place alongside Daishinken and his guards. They observe through a hologram created by Daishinken. Zeno is very surprised to see what's happening to Vegeta and mentions that, based on what Vegeta said, Sidra was weak in terms of offense. Daishinken explains that this is the common perception, but things are not as they seem. The Grand Priest reveals that indeed in the past, Sidra wasn't as good as offense compared to the other gods of destruction, which led to him being ridiculed by other deities. Ashamed of his low attack power, Sidra secretly trained to strengthen his offensive abilities. After many years, he developed a transformation in which he concentrates all his power into his muscles, drastically increasing his attack power. This is what he's using against Vegeta now. With his hand on Vegeta's face, Sidra carries him through the sky until they reach a rock, where he presses the Saiyan God's face against the rocks. While pressing Vegeta's face into the rocks, Sidra simply releases a high amount of destruction energy, obliterating the entire region. Vegeta falls a bit further, his face heavily injured from the attack he just received. "Curse it, this guy's power increased suddenly," the Saiyan complains. Goku exchanges blows with Jin in the sky, and he's under a lot of pressure from the Hakaishin's attacks. At one point, Goku sees an opening and strikes with a punch, but his hand is simply cut on the God Triton's scale. "Darn! Besides protecting him, this scale also hurts me," Goku observes. The longer they fight, the less Goku can dodge, defend, and counterattack, starting to be hit successively by the God of Destruction of Universe 12. One blow sends Goku into a glacier, trapping him in the ice. Next, Jin advances with a claw attack, from which Goku can only escape thanks to instant transmission. As soon as Jin's attack hits the glacier, it simply cuts it in half. After missing this physical attack, Jin starts making various claw attack movements towards Goku, manifesting an energy destruction claws that, when Goku dodges, hit the glaciers behind him, cutting them at the same time, making them disappear. "This is dangerous," Goku comments, witnessing the power of the attack. Suddenly, he's trapped in an energy prison. "What?" Goku exclaims, caught completely off guard. Belmont is the one responsible, facing him with a malicious smile. Behind Goku but far away, Hellas points her bow at him, begins to prepare a very powerful shot, and finally Jin, concentrating all his power, forms a sphere full of destruction energy. At the same time, Jin launches his power sphere and Hellas fires her shot. Goku thinks quickly and then he teleports, but that's not all. Jin takes his place. Before the God of Destruction of Universe 12 could react, Hellas' arrow goes through his body and then his own attack hits him. A massive explosion of destruction energy can be seen from space, destroying that planet and making all nearby celestial bodies tremble. In the aftermath of the explosion, there's no trace left on the planet, creating an extra space in the vacuum. That space is where the gods of destruction are all gathered. All of them except Jin, who was destroyed by his own attack. Goku reappears with instant transmission, sighing in relief and grateful that he had the idea to teleport Jin to his place to receive those deadly attacks at the last moment. From the sky to the ground, Vegeta falls, his body being dragged across the ground due to the force of the attack he just received. With pain, Vegeta gets up, recognizing that Sidra's raw power is much greater than he could have imagined. Looking up, he sees Sidra staring at him, breathless with rage. "Darn! You want a contest of attack power? Then let's do it." Impatiently, Vegeta concentrates his power, while creating several electric bursts around him with the color of destructive energy. He's preparing a Gallic gun. Sidra accepts the challenge and extends both hands, concentrating a high amount of power. The two attack. When the two powers collide, a shockwave spreads across the entire planet, cracking its surface. Competing to see who has more power, Vegeta occasionally gains the advantage, while at other times Sidra does. The other gods watch from a distance as they didn't want to interfere in this battle. While maintaining the contest, Vegeta begins to sweat as he thinks, "Darn, I'm making an unnecessary effort against this guy." Sidra screams, exerting all his effort in the contest, beginning to push Vegeta's energy more and more, causing Vegeta to lose ground until the attack reaches the Saiyan God. The planet simply explodes, releasing a shockwave that echoes throughout the surroundings, disturbing the balance of nearby celestial bodies. But when the explosion subsides, a curious scene can be seen. Sidra didn't kill Vegeta. On the contrary, he has his chest pierced by the Saiyan's arm, who made an attack from behind. Smiling, Vegeta says, "I let you win that contest on purpose so that you would lower your guard, and I could attack in a deadly way. In the end, you, known for having the best defense of all gods, lost because you forgot to maintain a good defense. How pathetic." Vegeta removes his hand from Sidra's body, then extends the other hand and says, "Hakai," making the god of destruction of the 9th universe's body disappear. But that was just the beginning. Looking around, Vegeta sees the other 5 enemies surrounding him again. Goku stands still in the empty space where just moments ago was the frozen planet where he was fighting his enemies. His enemies stand around him: Belmont, Rumshi, Hellas, Arak, and Likir, 5 powerful gods of destruction who have just lost a colleague, Jin. Goku is not at all happy about Jin's death, but he understands it was necessary since he simply can't fight so many gods of destruction with their powers amplified by this evil energy while worrying about their safety. "I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to finish each of you off," the old Saiyan says to his opponents. At this moment, Goku needs to hold his breath, and unlike Vegeta, who is a god, he cannot breathe in the vacuum of space. Speaking of Vegeta, he finds himself in a similar situation. Surrounded by Beerus, Moscow, Koitella, Champa, and Iwan, he stands in the region where a planet has just disappeared thanks to the great destructive power of Sidra, who also disappeared. Sidra was just the first. "I'll finish all of you," the Saiyan God promises. Koitella is the first to do something, advancing against Vegeta with a punch. The Saiyan Prince and God holds the Rat God's punch and sends him back where it came from with a kick. But Koitella doesn't let that slide, and even as he's sent flying by Vegeta's attack, unleashes a sequence of energy attacks. Vegeta dodges Koitella's energy attack, but shortly after, he has to dodge an energy laser fired by Champa, countering with another energy attack. Champa doesn't even need to dodge it because Iwan steps in front of him, deflecting the attack with a kick. Now Vegeta is hit by Beerus, who advances against him, grabbing the Saiyan God and simply carrying him across the universe at such a high speed that they are enveloped in a torrent of light. "Damn it, Beerus!" Vegeta complains. Beerus' strength is tremendous, so they quickly reach a speed of stratospheric proportions, in a few seconds crossing an entire solar system until colliding with a poor planet, which despite having a great mass, is simply torn to pieces thanks to the collision with the gods of destruction. After smashing a poor planet with Vegeta's body, Beerus stops carrying the Saiyan God with his own body and simply throws him onto the moon of that planet, causing its destruction as well due to the force with which he launches Vegeta. Vegeta finally stops in midair, and seeing that his master is coming at him again, he fires an energy attack to stop Beerus. But the Cat God dodges his attack and reaches Vegeta with an extremely powerful punch, which Vegeta manages to block by crossing his arms in front of his body, and then counterattacks by hitting Beerus from below with a knee to the chin. Destabilizing Beerus with the strength of this attack, Vegeta grabs him by the arm and throws him into the vacuum. But Beerus doesn't go far, as Moscow appears in his path and grabs his fellow god to stop his movement. "I'll kill both of you at once," Vegeta says, preparing an energy attack to hit both Beerus and Moscow at once. But Iwan comes from behind him with a flying kick to the neck that destabilizes Vegeta, and Champa takes advantage of this, coming from the other side and landing a punch squarely in the Saiyan's abdomen. "What a pain. Go to hell." Vegeta counters Champa with a hammer blow, pushing him away, but then he receives a flying kick from Beerus, followed by an energy attack from Iwan. Hellas unleashes a barrage of energy against Goku, who skillfully dodges all the attacks while flying toward her to strike with a punch. Rumshi steps in front of Goku to surprise and grab him, but Goku is smarter and simply jumps over him, and Hellas going to their backs and launching an energy attack that carries both of them away. Arak comes from the side attempting a punch, but Goku goes over him, letting him pass, to then receiving a kick to the back that pushes him away. Next to attack is Likir, who comes from below with an uppercut aiming for Goku's chin, but Goku narrowly dodges by moving his head back and counterattacks with a punch that pushes Likir away. Belmod is next, coming from above with an elbow strike aimed at the top of Goku's head, but Goku simply flips upside down, intercepting Belmod's elbow strike with a kick to the clown's god chin. Hellas approaches with a flying kick while Arak comes right behind with a punch. Goku smoothly avoids Hellas' leg with a gentle movement, letting her pass right by him to then surprise Arak by intercepting his punch with a punch right in the face of the Hakaishin, who, being smaller, loses in reach, receives the blow, and is thrown away. Hellas returns with an attack from behind, but Goku intercepts it with a kick to her abdomen without even turning around. Next, he escapes from Rumshi, who was going for a grab, flying under him and launching an energy attack and sends the Elephant God high into the air. Likir forms an energy sphere and hurls it at Goku, but Goku in a shrewd move points his hand at Likir's attack and suddenly teleports the attack in his direction. Surprised Likir has to hold the energy sphere and make a great effort not to be hit directly. While Likir deals with his own attack, Goku flies toward Belmod, who was coming to attack, and then the two engage in a fast exchange of blows, which ends when Belmod misses an attack and is hit by a kick from Goku, launching him right into Likir's energy sphere. When Belmod hits the spear, the massive explosion occurs, hitting both him and Likir, who was holding the attack. But before Goku could catch his breath, Hellas, Arak, and Rumshi were already on him, ready to attack again. "Man, you guys are stubborn," he complains, while adopting his combat stance ready to deal with the three of them. In the palace of the almighty Zeno, watching everything, the battles are making him nervous along with the Daishinken and the bodyguards. They watch everything that's happening thanks to the hologram created by the Daishinken. Zeno comments that Goku seems to be handling his opponents better, while Vegeta seems to be having more difficulty. Daishinken responds to this comment by explaining that Goku and Vegeta have very different fighting styles. He says that using Ultra Instinct and having a more defense-focused fighting style, Goku can deal with the gods in a way that exposes him to fewer attacks. Vegeta, on the other hand, has a more aggressive fighting style, which inevitably leads to him receiving more blows. Zeno says that if that's the case, Vegeta will end up losing. But Daishinken says it's not quite like that. In the vacuum of space, a massive flash of light can be seen, crossing the universe at an extraordinary speed, making entire solar systems seem only a few meters away due to the immense speed at which they pass through planets and constellations. Within this flash of light is Vegeta and his 5 opponents, all attacking the Saiyan God at the same time as he retreats. At one point, Quaitella and Champa step forward, landing a series of punches on Vegeta, carrying him through the sheer force of their blows. You worms will need more than that. Vegeta suddenly counterattacks with a punch that pushes Champa back and follows it with a kick that sends Quaitella flying. But this opens up the space that Moscow needed to come at full force, landing a punch to Vegeta's abdomen, carrying Vegeta a further distance until he reacts by grabbing Moscow's hand and delivering an energy attack right to his face, throwing him far away. And then it's Beerus and Iwan's turn, coming with a punch to Vegeta's face and a kick to his ribs from opposite sides. But in the next second, they are pushed away when Vegeta releases his energy in a furious manner, causing that part of the universe to tremble. Meanwhile, Daishinken explains to Zeno that despite Vegeta receiving so many more attacks than Goku, he is progressively growing stronger because of the blows he's receiving. In other words, he is evolving in the battle. In Goku's case, things are not quite the same. At the same time, Goku deals with simultaneous attacks from Belmod, Arak, and Likir, while handling the attacks of the 3 Goku tries to counterattack as much as possible, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to find an opening for a counterattack. In fact, even defending and dodging are becoming more complicated. Darn, these guys are getting better at adapting to my fighting style. And it's not just that, I'm starting to need to breathe. Finally, a kick lands. The blow came from Belmont right to Goku's ribs, causing him to recoil, opening the necessary gap for a punch from Likir, which connects to his face. Then comes another punch, this time from Arak, hitting him in the chest. But receiving this punch from Arak, Goku takes the opportunity to grab his arm and pull him in front of another punch from Likir, which hits Arak instead of hitting Goku. After using the 5th Universe God as a shield, Goku delivers a kick that throws him onto Likir and pushes them both away. However, this comes at the cost of a punch from Belmod right in the middle of Goku's face, destabilizing him. Next, Rumshi arrives from below, grabbing Goku's legs, and using his colossal strength, he spins Goku in the air as if he were a toy and hurls him with all his might towards Hellas, who is already prepared to make a mega powerful shot with her bow. Hellas's arrow goes straight for Goku's chest, and with his quick reflexes, he grabs the arrow with both hands. However, the force of the shot carries him trillions of kilometers, crossing a massive portion of the universe before gradually losing speed and colliding with a small planetoid, creating a massive hole in it. Daishinken explains to Zeno that despite the increasing fatigue and the damage received, Vegeta is at least making progress in some way in the battle, whereas Goku doesn't have the characteristic in his technique, and fatigue can end up being a significant factor for him. Zeno then asks how Goku and Vegeta can win this battle against the gods. The angel explains that the longer it takes, the more tired and injured they will become, and the more advantages the gods of destruction will have. So what they need to do is create strategies to increase their durability in the fight and also end this battle as quickly as possible. However, Daishinken reminds that their opponents are the gods of destruction, who are extremely powerful deities, and not only that, all the gods have their powers amplified by Cumber's evil energy, so defeating them quickly may be far from possible. Buried in a crater, Goku holds Hellas's arrow a few inches from his chest. Man, that was close, he thinks in relief and then reflects. The potency and sharpness of these arrows are surreal. Among all the attacks of all the gods, it must be the one with the most piercing power, and to make it worse, they are incredibly fast. I have to be careful with this woman. At least one thing served that attack. The planetoid to which Goku was thrown to had an atmosphere so he could breathe. Suddenly another arrow comes, cutting through space at an astonishing speed. Goku dodges to the side, and then he sees the entire planetoid behind him, splitting in half. Looking back at space, he sees Hellas standing still, staring at him. But there's something strange about her. Hellas has an expression of great suffering, as if she feels intense anger, and at the same time great pain. She emits an abnormal amount of destruction energy. Her skin is changing color, and her hair, which is usually neatly braided, becomes loose and floats due to her energy, while her hat simply disintegrates, destroyed by her own destructive power. Meanwhile, her eyeball becomes empty, just a blank space, losing its beautiful green hue. The goddess who usually boasts of her great beauty now becomes a horrifying and terrifying figure. In a completely deranged manner, Hellas starts firing dozens of arrows at Goku, who begins to dodge them while flying through space, escaping the woman who pursues him like a true maniac. What's happening to her? Goku wonders, noticing that now, Hellas's shots, which are usually so precise, seem to become much more chaotic. Zeno is also very puzzled by this and asks Daishinken what happened to her. Daishinken asks if Zeno knows about Hellas's life before she became a goddess. No, the supreme god replies. The grand priest begins to explain that Hellas was a priestess, a devoted religious woman who worshipped a highly acclaimed goddess on her home planet, the goddess of love. Hellas was an extraordinary mortal born with power far beyond the common abilities of her race or any other mortal in her universe. But despite being born with such combat power, she dedicated her life to love, because that's what she believed in. However, on a fateful day, a space pirate army invaded her planet and massacred her people. The planet's goddess attempted to confront these criminals, but she didn't come close to winning, as she was a pacifist and had low combat power. Seeing her beloved people and the goddess she adored being slaughtered by those hateful criminals, Hellas fell into deep disbelief because she realized that pacifism was not enough to protect love. She decided that to protect love, destruction was necessary. Using her dormant colossal power, Hellas effortlessly eliminated all the enemies, destroying them without mercy. After this feat, she gained the attention of the gods and eventually became the goddess of destruction of Universe 2. Hellas despises hatred above all else because she understands that hatred is love's main enemy, and she is willing to do anything to destroy hatred. Zeno asks Daishinken if, in that case, Hellas shouldn't be using all her power against Goku since he is fighting against evil. But the angel explains that what is causing this desire for destruction in Hellas is not Goku but Cumber's energy, which is pure hatred and evil. The problem is that since she is overwhelmed by this energy, she simply cannot discern things properly and believes that Goku is the enemy of love, not herself. Daishinken further states that at this moment Hellas must be going through indescribable suffering as she feels these conflicting emotions in her heart and is extremely confused and unsure of what to do. This is why she went berserk. Understanding the situation, even Zeno expresses sympathy for the goddess of Universe 2, saying that the situation is quite sad. Goku flies towards Hellas while dodging her arrows until he reaches the goddess with a punch. She defends herself with her arms after making her bow magically disappear. They exchange very intense blows, with Goku noticing that Hellas's raw power has increased significantly, especially her strength and speed. However, he also observes that her attacks are much less precise and far more predictable, which makes it easier for him. Goku dodges a punch and counterattacks with another to her ribs, causing her to hesitate due to the pain. He then takes advantage of the split-second hesitation to use a precision energy technique, causing Hellas to be trapped in his energy. While the goddess of destruction is paralyzed, Goku touches her forehead, gaining access to Hellas's memories and thoughts. "Now I understand," he says. "This situation must be really hard for you, right? Cumber is a truly bastard." Suppressing the energy precision with her power, Hellas finally regains her mobility. At the same time she attempts an attack, Goku dodges. He notices that the other gods are also approaching, coming at them at an extraordinary speed. Hellas comes at him delivering a punch that Goku holds while touching his fingers to his forehead and says, "First, I'll help you." Goku uses instant transmission, carrying Hellas away and leaving the other gods with nothing to find. When Goku disappears with Hellas, Zeno is very surprised and eagerly asks Daishinken what happened. But Daishinken has already understood what happened and explains that Goku took her to another dimension to deal with her first. He tells Zeno not to worry because he already knows where they are. Saying this, Daishinken changes the image on his hologram to show what is happening to these two. Goku and Hellas arrive in a completely empty dimension, where all that exists is a blank space. As soon as they arrive, Goku distances himself from the deranged goddess and assumes his combat stance. He assures Hellas that her suffering will soon come to an end. Vegeta, full of power and rage, cuts through space at extremely high speed while gripping Quaitella and Iwan by their heads. After covering the long distance and gaining extraordinary momentum, Vegeta strikes a large planet while squeezing both of their heads against the ground. After doing so, he leaves them on the ground and flies away to launch a Big Bang attack, so powerful that it completely shatters the massive planet. Beerus and Moscow and Champa approach, and simultaneously they begin to exchange blows with Vegeta. Now with his power amplified by his ever-growing fighting spirit, Vegeta counters the three gods with strikes that contain sublime power, resonating throughout the universe. Vegeta pushes each of the three away with a blow and then launches an energy attack at each of them, creating three enormous explosions, the impact of which reverberates throughout the vast universe. Vegeta noticed that Goku's energy had disappeared from the universe. It looks like Kakarot teleported to another dimension, taking that woman with him. He thinks understanding what happened. Facing them one at a time might be a good strategy, come to think of it. Completely furious after the last attack he received, Quaitella emanated a tremendous amount of destruction energy, flies towards Vegeta ready to attack. Vegeta waits for the attack, receiving a powerful blow from the God of Destruction of Universe 4 right in the middle of his chest. But then Vegeta smiles and says, "I'll start with you rat." The teleportation is executed, but what Vegeta did was different. He didn't take Quaitella to another dimension, but rather to Universe 4. Finding himself in his own universe, Quaitella is surprised, and this costs him a well-placed punch in the face, which pushes him away from Vegeta. "What do you think? I'll allow you to die in your own universe. Isn't that merciful?" Vegeta says to the other God of Destruction. While concentrating his power with a smug smile on his face, Vegeta says that Quaitella won't last even a minute by himself. In the parallel dimension, Goku and Hellas exchange incredibly powerful blows. Hellas keeps increasing her speed and strength, but her attacks are also increasingly filled with rage. Goku takes advantage of this to deliver more and more powerful counterattacks to the goddess. Despite receiving these extremely powerful blows that damage her body, Hellas doesn't let this shake herself. Her fighting spirit is so great that Goku's technique begins to be overwhelmed. "This woman is incredible," Goku comments, astonished that his perfect technique is being pushed to the limit by the goddess. A punch lands in Goku's abdomen, and despite the pain, he quickly recovers to keep fighting. But then he receives a punch to the face, followed by another punch to the face, then another punch to the abdomen, and finally a kick to the face that pushes him away. Hellas unleashes a powerful wave of destruction energy met by Goku's Kamehameha. Initially, they remain in balance, but Goku's energy begins to disintegrate, turning into dust. "Darn!" he exclaims. Suddenly, Hellas stops her attack and surprises Goku by appearing behind him, with her bow in hand, preparing to shoot an arrow straight into his heart. "Oh no!" Goku shouts. An arrow comes, piercing his chest. But now Hellas is the one who is surprised, when she sees that it was just a mirage. The real Goku appears behind her, with his hand pointed, and shouts, "Hakai!" Completely shocked, Hellas screams as her body begins to disappear. Initially, Hellas screams, indicating great suffering or fear as she is destroyed, but in the end she smiles, appearing to regain some of her sanity. Shortly before disappearing completely, she thanks Goku. In an instant, there's nothing left of the Goddess of Destruction of Universe 2. Goku recalls that despite Ultra Instinct being his primary technique, he also knows how to use Hakai, and is glad that he has used it more effectively now than when he used it against Zamasu. Out of respect for Hellas, Goku closes his eyes and says that at least her suffering is now over. As they witness this, Daishinken, Zeno, and the guards are surprised that Goku used this technique to eliminate Hellas. Daishinken suggests that when Goku read her mind, he understood her great motivation to be a goddess of destruction, which is to destroy hatred with her power. So it seems that he wanted to give her the same fate, a sign of respect. After destroying Hellas, Goku teleports again and reappears in space where the other gods were waiting for him. Likir, Arak, Rumshi, and Belmont begin to concentrate an insanely large amount of power, causing the entire Universe 7 to tremble. Realizing what was happening, Goku becomes very tense and then assumes his fighting stance. Looking at his opponents with great concern and attention, Zeno asks Daishinken what is happening. He explains that after Hellas' death, the other gods became more concerned about Goku, and now they all intend to fight with their full power at the same time. Daishinken mentions that Goku had a considerably hard time facing Jin and Hellas at their full power, so he wonders what will happen now that all the other gods will attack him with everything they have. He also mentions that Goku is not the only one having this kind of difficulty. In Universe 4, Vegeta crosses space until he reaches a floating rocky block. The Saiyan god has blood running down his face and injuries all over his body. Darn, I thought that separating him from the others would make it easier, but his power has increased dramatically. I had no idea this guy was so strong. Quaitella approaches and confronts Vegeta, but he no longer has his usual appearance. The god of destruction of Universe 4 has darkened skin, expanded muscles, and a much more voracious expression. Quaitella has transformed and dramatically increased his power, surprising even Vegeta. On one side is Vegeta radiating his destructive power with great intensity. On the other side is Quaitella, who not only displays a powerful aura of destructive power, but also reveals his final transformation. The two collide. The result is a massive shockwave that extends far beyond their location, shattering a set of floating rocks. Vegeta takes the worst of the collision, beginning to retreat as Quaitella advances with a flurry of blows, which Vegeta dodges and defends against some, but receives most of them. "Damn you, you cursed rat!" the Saiyan Prince exclaims. A stronger punch lands in Vegeta's abdomen, and he immediately tries to counter with an infuriated punch. But Quaitella defends and counters with a kick to the Saiyan's neck. Vegeta retreats, suffocating. But he won't let this blow go unanswered. Vegeta unleashes a series of ki blasts at Quitella, who dodges all of them with various punches and kicks as the attacks reach him. Taking advantage of this distraction, Vegeta returns with a direct punch to Quitella's chest, but the Rat God withstands the punch with exceptional bodily resistance and counterattacks with an elbow to Vegeta's nose. Vegeta attempts a series of blows, but Quitella, showing extraordinary speed, evades and defends against all the attacks. In the next moment, he launches a sequence of punches so fast that Vegeta has received hundreds of blows in a fraction of a second. Quitella's punches and kicks hit his legs, abdomen, ribs, chest, arms, face, head. Every part of Vegeta's body is targeted by attacks so incredibly fast that he has no time to react or even feel pain. Vegeta tries to retaliate by firing a point-blank energy wave at the enemy in front of him, but Quitella moves at an extraordinary speed to escape. Then, using this massive speed, he begins to fly around Vegeta while delivering a series of extremely powerful attacks. Vegeta tries to find patterns in the movements to counterattack, but there simply aren't any. After landing more hundreds of attacks, Quitella advances with an even stronger one, a powerful flying kick to Vegeta's back that he doesn't see coming. This last attack, endowed with extraordinary strength, sends Vegeta simply to the next solar system, with his movement only stopping when he hits a large cold star, which he causes to explode upon collision. Even after receiving the power of a star's explosion, the Saiyan God remains undeterred and eager for the battle. But the explosion of the star was nothing compared to the next blow that Quitella landed, coming towards him in a powerful flight that is finished with an extremely powerful punch in the middle of Vegeta's chest. Quitella resumes his attacks, punishing Vegeta with a sequence of thousands of blows per second. Damn, this guy is tough to beat, Vegeta thinks, impressed as he receives the relentless attacks from his opponent. In the Supreme God's palace, Zeno watches everything along with his guards and Daishinken, looking wide-eyed at the Daishinken's hologram transmitting the battles. Wow, Quitella is really powerful, isn't he? Zeno comments. Oh yes, Daishinken responds. Then the Grand Priest asks the Almighty God a question. Tell me, Lord Zeno, do you know Quitella's reputation among the other gods of destruction? No, Zeno replies. Oh, so let me explain, the Father of Angels says. Daishinken explains that among all the gods of destruction, Quitella doesn't specialize in anything. He's not the strongest, not the most resistant, nor the one with the highest raw power. However, the god of Universe 4 has improved all these attributes very well, becoming the second best in all of these things. Quitella isn't the fastest god, but he's the second fastest. He isn't the strongest, but he's the second strongest, and so on. The result of all this is that Quitella is one of the few Hakaishins who openly competes for the title of the strongest of them all. After Daishinken says this, Zeno asks if Quitella is the strongest among the gods of destruction. Daishinken says no, or rather, no one knows exactly. For countless years, Quitella has been competing with Beerus for the title of the strongest. Their competitions vary, from races to prove who is the fastest, to arm wrestling to prove who is the strongest. In some competitions, Quitella performs better, and in others, Beerus does. But the consensus is that all the gods of destruction know that he is one of the most powerful Hakaishins of all time. Vegeta lands a punch on Quitella's face, but his punch is resisted and countered with another punch to Vegeta's mouth, drawing blood. Vegeta tries another strike, but Quitella once again resists and counterattacks with a flurry of very fast punches that hit the Saiyan all over his body. After pushing Vegeta away with a blow, Quitella releases a large energy sphere at him, which Vegeta attempts to deflect with a final flash. But the Rat God's attack simply overwhelms his energy, hitting him and culminating in a massive explosion, powerful enough to destroy the entire solar system. Following this attack, Vegeta floats in the middle of nowhere, considerably more injured. Damn. Endurance, speed, strength, destructive power. This guy is good at everything, Vegeta thinks. But there's no time to think because the enemy is coming for more. In Universe 7, Goku stands before his 4 adversaries, who are releasing an exorbitant amount of power that makes the entire universe tremble. Emitting extremely intense energy, Liqueur begins to take on a much wilder and more bestial expression, with his fur becoming more bristled and darkening with the power of destruction. His claws and fur grow, His 9 tails also lengthen, and his posture shifts towards something more hunched, approaching his wild nature. Rumshi increases his height even more and expands his body mass significantly, greatly enhancing his robustness. His 2 horns grow, and additionally 2 equally large ones are created, giving the god of destruction of Universe 10 a much more bestial appearance. On Belmont's pale body, black lines begin to appear, resembling veins, but not in a common color, rather in the color of the power of destruction, as if the destructive energy flows through the blood of the Universe 11 god. With a frightening and terrifying appearance, the clown god gazes at his victim. Energy of destruction takes the form of a strange skull mask on Arak's face, while his red hair grows considerably, giving the Hakaishin of Universe 5 the appearance of a true warrior of death. Without exception, all 4 of these gods have drastically increased their powers through transformation, an increase that Goku easily perceives, and that is enough to greatly concern the old Saiyan who faces them with tension while assuming his combat stance. I'll need to be much more careful with these guys now, or I'll be completely destroyed in an instant, he thinks. Besides the growing power of his opponents, another factor complicating Goku's life is the fact that he is not breathing. After many years of training, Goku has achieved the ability to go for a reasonably long time without breathing. If he's not exerting intense activity, he can hold his breath for up to an hour. He develops this conditioning to be able to face opponents in the vacuum of space or any other place with oxygen. However, the more physical activity he engages in, the less time he can hold his breath. In this battle, his breath-holding time is reduced to just a few minutes, as the pressure his opponents exert forces him to demand more from his body. But he can't fight them in places with oxygen, as those locations will eventually be destroyed, leaving him with no options afterwards. I need to think very carefully about what I'm going to do from now on, Goku thinks apprehensive. The attack begins. Arak fires an energy beam that Goku easily dodges, but it was just to create an opening for Belmont to approach with a flying kick. Goku manages to dodge it, but is surprised by the speed of the attack. Next, Liqueur and Rumshi arrive simultaneously with punches. Goku dodges and moves upward, but he is caught by a punch from Arak, which he blocks but still receives considerable damage to his arm. From the other side, Belmont attacks with a kick, which Goku also blocks but feels pain. While Goku blocks Belmont and Arak on the sides, Liqueur comes from below with an uppercut, which Goku evades by disappearing with instant transmission, allowing the Fox God to pass between the other two. But when Goku reappears from his instant transmission, he is surprised as the 4 gods appear around him at high speed. What? They managed to keep up with my instant transmission? The 4 attack simultaneously, while Goku desperately tries to evade. In Universe 4, the East Galaxy is completely destroyed, vanishing with quintillions of lives in an instant. The reason? Quintilla and Vegeta, who have just clashed with 2 powerful energy attacks, a contest that Vegeta lost. He is thrown into the neighboring galaxy, destroying a moon and a planet on the way, finally coming to a stop in space. But as soon as Vegeta stops, he starts moving again, when Quintilla catches him with a flying kick to the chest and carrying the Saiyan for hundreds of millions of kilometers until they finally stop at a planet. Vegeta's body pierces the planet and stops only in its core, forcibly immersed in a sea of lava. After launching Vegeta into the core of that planet, Quintilla, flying over the planet, unleashes a supernova formed by the energy of destruction. Upon impact with the planet, it instantly destroys it without leaving any traces. Even after receiving those extremely powerful attacks, Vegeta remains fit for battle, despite being increasingly injured. "You damn rat! I'm going to end this nonsense!" Vegeta shouts. Consumed by anger, the Saiyan God forces more of his power, exponentially increasing his strength. With his destructive energy creating countless resonances throughout that reality. "I didn't want to waste my energy on you, but I won't tolerate being humiliated like this anymore," the Saiyan says, preparing to ruthlessly destroy his opponent. Vegeta advances, landing a punch in Quintilla's abdomen. This time his attack is not as well received by the other Hakaishin, who clearly feels considerable pain. Quintilla retaliates with a punch to the face, but Vegeta offers his forehead to be hit. He then counters with an uppercut to the chin, followed by 2 cross punches to the face and a somersault that ends with a descending kick to Quintilla's head. With his brain suddenly shaken in all directions, Quintilla staggers. But the most stunning blow comes next, when Vegeta grabs one of Quintilla's ears with one hand and while pulling the rat god by the ear, he concentrates his strength and delivers an incredibly brutal punch right in the middle of Koitella's face. The blow is so strong that it simply smashes the Hakaishin's face. With his face crushed and bleeding profusely, Koitella recoils, but Vegeta is merciless and unleashes a hail of ki blasts at him, enveloping his opponent in a series of powerful explosions that spread throughout the region of space. At the end of this barrage of explosions, Koitella is wounded all over his body, but Vegeta is not done yet, and points his hand at him and he shouts, "Gamma Burst Flash!" Taking the immense energy wave from Vegeta head-on, Koitella is completely shattered by his power, and all that remains of the God of Destruction of Universe 4 are just some pieces of his body floating in the vacuum of space in his own universe. Panting, Vegeta stares at the remnants of his enemy. "You are a pain in my ass. Not everyone irritates me like this, so congratulations for that," he says to the remnants of his adversary, his way of showing respect. Vegeta notices the approach of 4 more beams of light, which, as they get closer, are revealed to be Beerus, Champa, Iwan, and Moscow. "You got here fast," Vegeta comments, and then he smiles and says, while assuming his combat stance, "But at least this way my body won't have time to cool down." After witnessing what just happened in Universe 4, Zeno comments, "Wow, that guy named Vegeta wiped out Koitella in no time, even though he was one of the strongest. How incredible!" But despite Zeno's excitement, the Grand Minister reflects, "That's true. However, by attacking Koitella in the manner he just did, Mr. Vegeta has lost a lot of energy, which is very bad for someone in his situation, facing so many powerful opponents. For Vegeta, being forced to attack in this way was a significant defeat." After hearing the Daishinken's explanation, Zeno loses all the enthusiasm he had just a moment ago. "I wish I could just erase them so Goku and Vegeta could go finish off Cumber," Zeno says, very frustrated. "That would be much easier," Daishinken agrees, but then he says, "Unfortunately, Cumber used the Super Dragon Balls to make himself immune to your powers, and as long as the gods are under his energy, they cannot be erased by you, as they carry a part of Cumber within them." Finally, Daishinken concludes, "At this moment, everything depends on these 2 Saiyans." In Universe 7, Goku must deal with Belmod, Likir, Arak, and Rumshi all at once. With everyone attacking together, Goku can't even counterattack, and he can only dodge, defend, or take the hits. To make matters worse, Goku is running out of breath. "Darn, I can't take it anymore." Goku attempts to use instant transmission, but at the exact moment he initiates the technique, Arak touches him with a kick. When the instant transmission is completed, Goku is on Beerus's planet and is thrown to the ground by Arak's kick. Now able to breathe, Goku is much relieved despite the pain from the blow. He smiles at Arak, realizing they have some time alone before the others arrive. Goku advances with a punch, which Arak responds to with an elbow strike. The planet of Beerus trembles due to the impact of their punches and elbows, but it trembles even more when their exchange of blows intensifies, with the god and mortal delivering very powerful strikes against each other, creating shockwaves, layers of the air, and electricity around them start to appear. Goku gains the advantage with his blows beginning to pierce Arak's guard more, and hitting the Hakaishin's main pain points with great precision. With a downward kick, Goku strikes Arak, sending him to the planet's surface. However, the God of Destruction from the 5th universe manages to land gracefully, despite causing cracks in the ground. After slamming Arak into the ground, Goku releases a wave of power from both his hands, which is met by a wave of power released from the Destroyer's hands. As their attacks collide, Goku begins to put more energy, overpowering Arak, who loses by a wide margin. "Sorry, but I'll have to destroy you before the others get here," Goku says as he puts more and more pressure on his opponent. But suddenly, Arak starts to elevate his power in a completely impressive way, causing the size of his power wave to multiply and overpower Goku's attack. "What?" Goku yells just before being hit, and engulfed by his opponent's power. After taking that attack head-on, Goku displays several wounds, which hurt less than the blow that follows, with Arak kneeing him powerfully in the chest. Watching this turnaround in the battle happening on the God of Destruction's planet in Universe 7, Zeno is surprised. He asks Daishinken what happened, as Goku had a significant advantage, and Arak suddenly turned everything around. Daishinken explains that defeating the God of Destruction of the 5th universe will not be so simple, especially while his thirst for death continues to grow. Daishinken says that Zeno probably doesn't remember, but among all the gods of destruction, Arak was the only one who was already a god before becoming a Hakaishin. In general, gods of destruction were very powerful mortals who were chosen for their divine positions, but someone was an exception to this rule, and that someone is Arak. Zeno says he doesn't remember any of this, as Arak has been a god of destruction for millions of years. Shinken then refreshes his memory, mentioning that in the 5th universe there was a deity known as the god of death. This god was like an entity that roamed throughout the universe, reaping lives for King Yema of the 5th universe. Arak, the god of death, fed on a part of the lives he reaped, and after performing this macabre function for thousands of years, he became extremely powerful, much more so than any other god of mortal of the universe. His power was so great that he simply challenged the god of destruction to a battle and killed him, becoming the next Hakaishin of the 5th universe. But Arak did not stop feeding on a portion of the life energy of the souls of the deceased, and over all these years, he continued to grow stronger while destroying numerous planets. The result of all this is that this god of destruction accumulated an entirely colossal power. Thrown into the vastness of space, Goku crashed onto a planet, hitting a city and creating a crater. This planet is very large and has a very numerous population. The inhabitants of the planet, curious and frightened by what just happened, gather around the crater. "No, don't do this! Get out of here!" he shouts to them. Hovering in the sky is Arak, who points his hand downward and releases a tremendous torrent of power. Unable to dodge, Goku charges forward to try to stop the attack, and succeeds. However, with his other hand, Arak fires a second energy wave aimed at the planet's surface, which is instantly destroyed. Seeing the entire planet vanish below him in a spectacle of light, while still holding back Arak's energy attack, Goku despairs. "You damn!" he shouts. But there's something else that catches his attention. The spirit of the dead simply heading towards Arak and being absorbed by him. What is this? Goku wonders. Next, with both hands together, Arak releases more power, significantly increasing the size of his energy wave. Oh no! With no more strength to hold such immense power, Goku is engulfed by the energy of the god of the 5th universe. On planet Cumber, Cumber himself reflects on the battles taking place while seated on his throne. Cumber can see everything that happens thanks to his energy that dominates the gods of destruction, and he's very pleased with everything he is witnessing. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, he thinks, referring to Goku and Vegeta. On one hand, you need to conserve energy to fight against me. On the other hand, the fact that you need to conserve power prolongs this fight even more, and that only increases my knowledge of your techniques, and the way you fight, I couldn't be happier. On the other side of the multiverse, Vegeta is carried by a massive wave of energy, a power that simply reaches him in Universe 4, crossed through Universe 3, and now arrives in Universe 2. It's in Universe 2 that this energy wave explodes, destroying simply 2 of the 4 major galaxies in the universe. After receiving this attack that destroyed half of a universe, Vegeta drifts through space completely dazed. After wandering through space for a while, he lands on a planet he happened to find, and on this planet he remains kneeling and gasping, trying to rest a bit. Darn, I used up too much energy against that cursed Quitella. If I don't be more careful from now on, I won't be able to face Cumber, he reflects. But if I keep receiving attacks like this for too long, not even I will be able to withstand them. After reflecting on these matters, Vegeta closes his eyes to focus on something. He is focusing on Universe 7, searching for Goku's energy. Sensing Goku's energy, he thinks, it seems things aren't easy for you either, huh, Kakarot? In the vastness of space, dozens of powerful explosions are seen. The culprits are Goku and Arak, who launch sequence after sequence of power attacks at each other, all of which are either deflected, dodged, or directly defended by them. In this contest, Goku is the most affected, as he is expending much more energy than he should to maintain this power exchange. Thanks to his ki sense, Goku realizes that Rumshi, Likir, and Belmont are approaching, which increases his sense of urgency. I have to finish this guy off before the others arrive, or I will have missed a great opportunity, he thinks. Abandoning energy conservation, Goku releases an intense aura of power as he starts preparing the Kamehameha and shouts, "Can you understand me, you bastard?" he asks Arak, and then he issues his challenge. "If you consider yourself truly strong, then defeat me in this power contest." When Goku says this, Arak begins to concentrate his power as well, apparently accepting the challenge. After both accumulate enough power in their hands, they attack simultaneously with massive power waves. However, as the attacks are about to collide, Goku changes the direction of his Kamehameha. Surprised, Arak sees Goku's energy circumventing him and coming towards him. While Goku escapes Arak's attack with instant transmission, the Hakaishin can't do the same and is hit directly by the Saiyan's energy wave, triggering a massive explosion. But the explosion doesn't kill Arak. It only makes the destroyer stagger. However, this was never Goku's intention. He just wanted the opening necessary to teleport behind the Hakaishin. Pointing his hand at his opponent, Goku says, "Sorry about this, but I can't waste energy in a contest with you." After apologizing, he says, "Goodbye. Thank you for giving it your all." However, an energy rope ensnares Goku's forearm. What? He exclaims surprised. It's Likir, who after catching Goku from a distance with his energy rope while forming an energy blade in his other hand reaches out to him. The target is Goku's abdomen, and he is completely pierced. As blood splatters through his abdomen and back, Goku also coughs up blood. Kakarot! Vegeta shouts when he feels Goku's ki drop dramatically. He assumes the instant transmission pose to go help, but he's interrupted when Moscow, who was camouflaged behind him, appears grabbing and squeezing Vegeta. What is this? How did I not see this guy coming? Vegeta is startled. Wrapped around Goku's forearm is Likir's energy loop, and thrust through his abdomen and back is the energy blade of the Fox deity. Next to them is Arak, who, thanks to Likir, was saved from a fatal attack by Goku. Not far away are Belmod and Rumshi approaching at high speed. A small jet of blood involuntarily escapes Goku's mouth, indicating the severity of his injury. Darn, they got me, he thinks, very frustrated and in pain. But the god's attack is not over yet. While Likir holds Goku captive with the loop around his arm and the blade through his body, Arak moves to his back, preparing an attack that would surely be fatal. It's not over yet, Goku shouts. While shouting this, the Saiyan abruptly releases his power. The pressure strong enough to launch both Arak and Likir away. But despite Likir's blade leaving his body, the loop remains attached to Goku's arm. Taking advantage of this, Goku spins Likir in the vacuum through his own loop, causing him to hit Rumshi and Belmod, who are coming to attack but are repelled by their ally's body. After using Likir to deflect Rumshi and Belmod, Goku pulls Likir back to him, and forming a ki blade on his arm, he says, "Now you'll taste your own medicine." But before being hit by Goku's ki blade, Likir dissolves the energy loop to free himself, extends his nine tails, and shoots a sequence of multiple energy attacks from them as if each of his nine tails were a ki machine gun. Caught off guard by Likir's reaction, Goku can only react by cutting with his ki blade at the first attacks that come. But when one of the energy spears hits him, all the others follow, creating a chain of explosions that extend throughout the region of the vacuum of space. The ki explosions resulting from Likir's shots are so powerful that the entire universe trembles with those attacks. Watching all this from his palace, Zeno is very impressed with the god of destruction of Universe 8 and comments to Daishinken that he didn't know Likir had so much raw power and such a wild fighting style. Daishinken says that the reason Zeno finds Likir's behavior strange is that he always seemed to be a very clever and polite god, also doing a good job of keeping his universe in balance, making it seem like he is a very balanced person. But the truth is that in essence, Likir is what they can literally call a monster. Zeno doesn't understand what the Grand Priest means, and then Daishinken tells that initially Likir wasn't this person they know. He tells that Likir was born as a true demonic beast, an uncontrollable monster that roamed throughout Universe 8, destroying everything in its path. Likir had a special characteristic. The longer he lived, the more tails appeared on his body, and with each tail that appeared, his power increased. But his intelligence also grew. Over the centuries, he ceased to be that uncontrollable and irrational beast to become an extremely powerful being, also endowed with great intelligence. After 900 years, he finally achieved the perfection of his power and intellect when he developed his ninth tail. And after that, due to his great power and intelligence, Likir became the god of destruction of Universe 8. Daishinken completes his explanation by saying that Likir is one of the most intelligent among the gods of destruction, but at the same time, he's also one of the wildest and most brutal. After facing all those explosions head-on, Goku is left with multiple injuries all over his body. But the attacks don't stop there, as Likir advances with a punch. Goku counters Likir's punch with another punch, but when their hands collide, the impact causes a large amount of blood to splash from Goku's wound, which hurts a lot. This pain is enough to create an opening for a sequence of very fierce attacks from Likir, severely bruising Goku's body. Likir carries Goku through the vacuum of space while hitting him with thousands of attacks per second, punishing the Saiyan's entire body. With a punch, he throws Goku towards a floating rock in space, and after that he makes a claw attack in the air. His claws materialize in the form of a cutting energy, which Goku narrowly dodges but has his ribs partially torn by the energy. He then sees the floating rock behind him completely shattered. Next, Likir approaches from the front, while Rumshi, Belmod, and Arak approach from other directions, surrounding him. Goku's expression is not good, denoting pain and concern. He thinks, "Darn, what do I do? With these injuries, I won't be able to continue fighting these guys." And suddenly the image of Yamoshi, whom he met in the first alternate reality, comes to his mind. After remembering Yamoshi, Goku smiles. In Universe 2, Vegeta is crushed by Moscow's hands, after being caught off guard by him. Vegeta begins to release his power intensely, but Moscow is putting a lot of strength into the grip, preventing Vegeta from breaking free. "You old tin can, let go of me!" the Saiyan Prince shouts, extending his feet towards the robotic god. Vegeta releases a wave of energy right into his face, sending Moscow in one direction while he goes in the other. After doing this, he points his hand at Moscow, planning to attack with a Big Bang attack, but his attack is stopped when Beerus arrives with a kick to the face, sending Vegeta straight to the ground. Next, he finds himself surrounded by Beerus, Moscow, Champa, and Iwan, who have just arrived. "Darn, these guys are a pain," the Saiyan god complains. Closing his eyes to focus on Goku's energy, Vegeta realizes that he is in combat, and then concludes that somehow Goku managed to escape death and no longer needs his help. Concluding this, Vegeta takes his combat stance and says he will focus on destroying these guys once and for all. Beerus goes on the attack, releasing a large amount of power. Vegeta does the same, colliding in midair with the God of Destruction of Universe 7 and sending him flying away, winning the strength contest. Iwan launches an energy wave at him, but Vegeta launches an even bigger one, overpowering Iwan's power and hitting the God of Universe 1, causing a massive explosion in the sky. After that, Champa and Moscow go for the physical attack, but Vegeta intercepts their advance, reaching Champa at high speed and pushing him away with a blow. He then starts an exchange with Moscow, pressuring the God of Universe 3 with very violent attacks. Vegeta emanates his power with great aggression, furious with this fight and determined to destroy his enemies with brute force. "You think you're strong?" he asks. "Then I'll show you what strength is." Vegeta lands a kick that sends Moscow spinning into the air. He would follow the robot to hit him once more, but he needs to defend against Beerus and Champa, who come at him from opposite sides with a kick and a punch respectively. Vegeta stops both with his forearms and then extends his hands to them, simultaneously firing an energy wave from each hand that pushes both away. Moscow returns from above at full speed for an attack, but Vegeta propels himself towards him like a rocket, simply passing through Moscow's body with an upward punch, piercing the God of Destruction of Universe 3. After passing through Moscow, Vegeta turns to the Hakaishin now below him, already assuming the Gallic Gun stance, and then fires the energy wave that hits Moscow in the back, carries him to the planet's surface, and then unleashes a gigantic explosion that completely destroys that planet while making the entire universe tremble. At the end of the explosion, all that remains of Moscow are some small pieces of his wreckage, indicating the complete destruction of the robot. "It was about time to get rid of that pile of junk," Vegeta says, smiling with satisfaction at having one less enemy to deal with. But it's not over yet, as Beerus, Champa, and Iwan gather around him again. Releasing his energy intensely, Vegeta tells them to go all out, saying he will crush them all. Goku travels at high speed through space while exchanging numerous blows and energy attacks with Likir, Belmod, Arak, and Rumshi. The movement of these five surpasses millions of times the speed of light, leaving a trail of destruction throughout Universe 7 until they surpass the limits of Universe 7, reaching Universe 8. Goku struggles with the attacks of the four, as his body has accumulated a considerable amount of injuries, the worst being the piercing in his abdomen and back by Likir. With sweat pouring abundantly from his body, Goku exchanges direct blows with Belmod. The exchange of blows was balanced until Belmod cheats, hitting Goku's abdominal wound, causing pain and making Goku hesitate, leading to him being hit by a series of attacks afterward. Zeno complains to Daishinken about Belmod's cheating by hitting Goku's wound, but Daishinken says that in a fight it's perfectly common to exploit the enemy's injuries to gain an advantage, especially when it comes to Belmod, known to be the most deceitful among all gods of destruction. Daishinken reminds Zeno that before becoming a god of destruction, Belmod was known as the greatest cheater in the entire Universe 11. He gained the position of Hakaishin precisely because of this, as he was a warrior of total trust of the former god of Universe 11, while still a member of the Pride Troopers. However, desiring power, Belmod played a trick on the old god of destruction, which ultimately caused his death. That's how he became a Hakaishin. Daishinken says that despite his high power, what makes Belmod one of the most dangerous among the gods is not his power, but his dangerous personality. After receiving a sequence of physical attacks from Belmod, Goku manages to react and pushes him away with a blow, then launches a Kienzan at him. But Belmod creates sharp energy cards in his hands and throws them at the key disc, simply cutting the disc into several pieces as they head towards Goku, who is surprised by the cutting power of those energy cards. Goku skillfully dodges the cards, but due to his injuries, his movements lose precision, and he ends up receiving more cuts on his body. Next, Rumshi attacks, reaching Goku with a shower of very strong punches, which Goku barely dodges until one of the attack hits him. Even though Goku blocks the blow with his two arms, the sheer force of Rumshi's punch makes blood spray from all his wounds. After landing this punch, Rumshi pushes Goku with the force of his arm, and his strength is such that Goku is launched at a colossal speed, his body surrounded by a beam of light as he covers an absurd distance through the universe. Goku only stops when he reaches another solar system, and when he manages to stop, he begins to vomit his own blood due to internal injuries caused by that punch. But he doesn't have time to rest as Likir and Arak arrive shortly after, ready for more. "Man, you guys are fast," Goku complains. Watching what's happening to Goku, Zeno comments that he is doing worse and worse in the fight, and he's no longer able to avoid the god's attacks as he was before. Shinken explains that due to his injuries, especially after Likir pierced his body, Goku is having a lot of difficulty moving as he did before. Shinken says that the injury Goku suffered is very serious, and it's actually incredible that he's still fighting after that. But even though it's impressive that he continues to fight, it won't last much longer, and unfortunately, he will decline more and more in the battle until he finally dies. When he hears this, Zeno becomes very sad. "Come on, Goku, you can do it," the Supreme Deity says, even though he knows Goku can't hear him. Likir and Arak put a lot of pressure on Goku, who retreats while increasingly able to avoid fewer of the two Hakaishin's blows. Seeing a meteor passing by, Goku uses his psychic strength to push Arak into the path of this meteor, making the destroyer be hit and carried by it. Then Goku dodges one of Likir's attacks by going behind him to land a kick. But Likir reacts quickly, wrapping one of his tails around Goku's ankle and then throwing him away. After pushing Goku away, Likir forms several energy balls around him and hurls them at the Saiyan like a true power shower, forcing Goku to find a way to dodge. But soon after dodging Likir's attacks, Goku sees Arak launching a set of energy beams that snake in his direction. Goku skillfully avoids the multiple energy beams launched by Arak, and then teleports behind him to try something. But Likir, after concentrating energy in both hands, joins them while unleashing a torrent of green energy. Goku has to give up attacking Arak to dodge Likir's attack, and it's at this moment that Arak takes advantage of it to point his finger and launch a thin but powerful energy beam at Goku, who narrowly dodges it, but at the cost of having his cheek cut. Next, the exchange of physical blows returns, with Goku being even more pressed by the two Hakaishins. Seeing what's happening, Shinken concludes that Goku is finally reaching his limit, as his ki has decreased significantly. Vegeta, while exchanging frenetic blows with Beerus, Champa, and Iwan, also notices this. "Damn it, Kakarot, what do you think you're doing?" he asks in thought. Goku can no longer maintain his defense, simply lowering his guard while starting to receive several severe blows from Arak and Likir. After multiple attacks, they finally go for the final blow, with both gods of destruction simultaneously delivering a punch powerful enough to completely pierce Goku's body. However, their hands are held. The impact of the blows is so monstrous that extremely intense vibrations reverberate from there to the surroundings. They were attacks capable of shaking the entire universe. But in a surprising way, Goku held them, leaving both gods astonished. With a smile on his face, Goku says, "Surprise!" Then, releasing a huge aura of power, Goku screams as he shoots a massive amount of energy from his hands, simply sweeping the two gods of destruction out of existence, making their bodies disappear into the vacuum of space. When this happens, Zeno is completely shocked. "How did he do that?" the Supreme Deity asks. "Just a moment ago, he was completely weakened." The answer is that Goku simply healed the main wound caused by Likir's energy blade. The wound in his abdomen and back disappeared. When Goku remembered Yamoshi, he actually recalled how the first Super Saiyan God healed from a serious injury, and then he had the idea of using his divine power to heal himself too. However, Goku wanted the gods to lower their guard, thinking he was weakened. So he healed slowly while reducing his ki, pretending to be weak to make a decisive attack at the right moment. Relieved, Goku thinks because they were under the influence of Cumber's evil energy, their intelligence was affected, and they ended up not realizing what I was doing. Realizing what happened thanks to the sensation of ki, Vegeta smiles. "Damn you, Kakarot. Always liking to put on a show," he thinks. On planet Cumber, the Saiyan King, who can know everything that happens thanks to his energy and dominates the gods of destruction, laughs sitting on his throne. "Very clever, Goku. Very clever. Deep down, I'm glad you didn't die, as it wouldn't be fun if you died like that." After understanding everything that happened, Zeno comments to Shinken that Goku was very clever. Shinken agrees, saying that it was a very good tactic, but he can't help but notice that the healing ability consumed a considerable amount of Goku's energy, as his injuries were severe. In no time, Rumshi and Belmont reach Goku, who greet them with a tense smile, indicating with his gaze a certain fatigue. "Man, There are still 2 more, he thinks while panting. Meanwhile, Vegeta continues his battle against Beerus, Champa, and Iwan. An extremely intense fight now taking place in Universe 1. During the exchange of blows, Champa lands a punch on Vegeta's face, but he retaliates with a punch 10 times stronger, pushing the Universe 6 god away. He then blocks a punch from Iwan and counters with an attack that makes the Hakaishin of Universe 1 recoil in pain and retreat. Beerus throws a power globe at him, but Vegeta grabs the attack from the Universe 7 god of destruction and sends it back with telekinesis, causing Beerus to be hit by his own attack and suffer a massive explosion. Despite facing 3 gods of destruction simultaneously, Vegeta is managing to put a lot of pressure on all 3, but this comes at a cost. Vegeta's energy, which is being used abundantly to maintain this combat pace. The Hakaishin Saiyan pants, recognizing that he needs to end these guys quickly or he'll start losing the advantage. Iwan returns to Vegeta, starting to exchange blows again. A few seconds later, Champa also returns, and after a few more seconds, Beerus. Amidst so many blows, Vegeta dodges some, defends many, and receives the majority, but he also counterattacks very effectively against all 3, delivering strong and impactful blows. But to the trio's surprise, Vegeta begins to elevate his ki even more, strengthening his body more and more. Now they are even more pressed, while Vegeta, in a completely impressive scene, advances, delivering countless blows as the 3 gods of destruction retreat almost defenseless. A kick hits Iwan's neck, stunning him. Next, Vegeta's punch sinks into Champa's stomach, making him shrink completely in pain. And finally, an elbow hits Beerus' head, dazing him. Stunning all 3 at once, Vegeta steps back, disappearing from their front and reappearing above, preparing his final Hakai. While concentrating an absurd amount of power, he shouts, "I will finish all of you at once. Final Hakai." Vegeta unleashes a powerful wave of power strong enough to alarm the 3 gods of destruction, but they react simultaneously, releasing an energy wave to stop the Saiyan's attack. But even the combined attack of the 3 is not able to face Vegeta's surreal destructive power, who raises his ki even further in an aura of power that surpasses his size tenfold. Shouts, "You're all going straight to hell." When the Saiyan Prince makes his war cry echoing through the vastness of space, his purple energy torrent multiplies in size by more than 10 times, completely subduing the joint energy of the 3 gods of destruction. Beerus, Champa, and Iwan see Vegeta's power approaching, which for them is the absolute omen of death. However, a missile of energy comes their way, hitting the back of the Saiyan warrior, and then engulfing him in a massive explosion. At that moment, Vegeta's attack is halted, saving the other gods from death. When Vegeta looks back to see who fired that shot, he's left wide-mouthed. It's a robot. It's a humanoid robot wearing the attire of a god of destruction. What the hell is happening here? Vegeta exclaims, completely shocked by what he's seen. Also completely surprised is Zeno, who obviously asked Daishinken who this guy is. Daishinken, already understanding what's happening, tells Zeno that the guy who just appeared is Mule, the god of destruction of Universe 3, who used a robot called Moscow. He explains that after Vegeta blew up Moscow, Mule, who is a very small being, the size of an insect, managed to survive the attack, and then he went to get his most powerful armor, which is what they're seeing now. Vegeta, now that he's taken a good look at the robot that just appeared, senses the key of the god of destruction of Universe 3, and then he understands what happened. "Damn you, miserable insect!" He curses his enemy, very annoyed and frustrated. In Universe 8, Goku fights intensely against Belmod and Rumshi. In this battle, his main concerns are dodging Rumshi's extremely powerful attacks, and Belmod's dangerous abilities. Belmod launches an energy attack that Goku dodges as he moves towards him to counterattack, but he's stopped when Rumshi flies in his direction for a collision, which he needs to dodge to avoid being hit head-on by the colossal force of the Elephant God. But avoiding Rumshi's attack is distraction enough for Goku to almost be hit by another energy attack from Belmod, which narrowly misses his chest. Goku is getting increasingly tired of that pace, understanding that if things continue like this, he will end up being hit by some fatal attack. The best way I have to deal with this situation is if I can separate these guys, he concludes. At this moment, Rumshi is coming towards him to try another attack with all his strength, but Goku sees a chance to put his plan into action, surprising Rumshi by letting the destroyer get very close, and then pointing his hand to teleport the Elephant God in the direction of the Clown God, surprising both Rumshi and Belmod. To avoid being hit head-on by his own ally, Belmod awkwardly dodges, but Goku seizes this opportunity to teleport to Belmod's back, extending his hand to touch the god of Universe 11, saying with a sly smile on his face, "Now I'm going to take you from here But to Goku's surprise, Belmod, turning to him with a smile, conjures a strange card in his hand, and from this card emerges a beam of light that surrounds them both, leaving Goku completely confused, and suddenly they both disappear from there. Goku appears in a completely different reality, a blank space filled with floating mirrors. But what is this? And where is Belmod? Goku wonders, but the answer to his last question comes right away when Belmod comes out of the mirrors behind Goku and pierces his back and chest with an attack. But Goku smiles. "Gotcha," he says to the clown. The Goku that Belmod hit is actually a mirage, and the original appears behind him with an attack already prepared. "Kamehameha," Goku shouts as Belmod is simply disintegrated by his attack. "It's done," he shouts, very excited. But suddenly he's surprised when Belmod comes out from another mirror on his side and punches him squarely in the face. "What is this? Was that an illusion?" Goku asks, frustrated. Belmod continues to attack, launching a series of attacks that Goku dodges a little clumsily due to surprise. But in a short time he regains his focus and begins to dodge and defend with more precision, until he finally manages to counterattack with a blow that knocks Belmod away. But when he chases the clown god to continue attacking, Belmod escapes by entering one of the mirrors. "You won't run away from me," Goku screams, firing an energy attack that destroys the mirror. But this was useless, as in the next second Belmod comes out of a mirror behind him, already attacking with a kick. Goku reacts well, turning to defend, but Belmod simply passes through him. It was a mirage. The real one appears from another mirror that is below Goku and comes up with a punch that hits him right in the chin. Goku tries to counterattack, but he escapes again by entering another mirror, and almost instantly appears in another one that is behind Goku, attacking with a punch, which Goku manages to dodge by moving to the side. But again he is surprised when the real Belmod appears from another mirror above, coming down on him with a kick to the head. Then he retreats again to another mirror, and Goku sees the image of Belmod appear in all the mirrors around. "Damn, there's no way to know which one is real," he complains. Goku has an idea, and by accumulating a large amount of energy, he simply unleashes his energy, shattering all the mirrors around him. But a second later, all the mirrors are restored already, to his anger and frustration. The one who is also very afraid and frustrated is Vegeta, who thought he had defeated Mule, and also that he was about to defeat Beerus, Champa, and Iwan all at once. But he was surprised when Mule returned with a new armor. "Damn it, you bastard insect!" Vegeta curses the god of destruction of Universe 3. Zeno is very surprised when he sees this robot appearing in the fight and asks Daishinken who is this guy. Daishinken, already understanding what happened, tells Zeno that this guy who just appeared is Mule, the god of destruction of Universe 3 who used the robot called Moscow. He explains that after Vegeta exploded Moscow, Mule, who is a very small being, the size of an insect, managed to survive the attack. And then he went to get his most powerful armor, which is the one they are seeing now. Zeno asks if the other robot was called Moscow. What is this one's name? Daishinken says that this one is Super Mule, the one known as the Ultimate Machine, the most powerful technological warrior in the multiverse. Furious, Vegeta advances against the new robot that appeared before him, concentrating a huge amount of energy in his hand and hitting Super Mule with an absurdly strong punch, which, when it hits the robot, creates a gigantic explosion of impact around it. But Vegeta's punch only hit a metallic shield that Super Mule had just formed on his arm. And to Vegeta's surprise, the shield didn't even scratch. The counterattack comes, transforming his hand into a solid metal ball. Super Mule hits Vegeta squarely in the head, launching him an absurd distance, and making the Saiyan stop only when he collided with the moon very far from where he was, rubbing his sore head as blood starts to run down his face. Vegeta recognizes that the metal Super Mule is using his Kachi Kachin steel, the hardest matter in all the universes. But that wasn't all. He was strengthening the material even more with his ki. Another attack comes. Stretching out his mechanical arm, Super Mule throws the solid metal ball at Vegeta like a sledgehammer. Vegeta flies away and lets the attack hit the moon and simply shatter it. He retaliates with a beam of energy released from one of his hands, but this is defended when Super Mule once again modifies his arm, forming a shield which reflects Vegeta's attack back at him, forcing the Saiyan to dodge to avoid to be hit by his own energy. "You annoying junk," Vegeta screams full of rage. But it's not just the junk that he has to worry about, as a hail of energy shots launched by Champa fall on him, forcing him to dodge. and soon after Beerus and Iwan attack, coming at him to start an exchange of blows. Surrounded by multiple Belmod mirrors that reflect the clown's god's image, Goku doesn't know which one the real attack will come from. Goku wishes he could just escape that dimension with a teleport, but for some reason, that dimension seems to be so peculiar that he can't feel anything outside of it to escape. So he has no choice but to play Belmod's game. In all the mirrors, Belmod forms his cutting energy cards, and they all launch them at once against Goku, who, not knowing which cards were real and which were illusions, needs to dodge them all. But then Goku gets an idea and starts releasing a large aura of energy. When the illusory cards touch his energy aura, they disappear. But when the real card touches it, it deforms the aura, and then Goku notices and avoids the card. "What do you think of that, huh?" he asked Belmod with a smart smile on his face. Seeing that this tactic would no longer work, the real Belmod finally comes out of the mirror and starts firing his real cards at Goku, who responds by throwing several Kienzans at him. As he dodges the energy cards, Goku manipulates the discs to hit Belmod, who also needs to dodge. But the problem is that Belmod doesn't have the same dodging precision as someone who has Ultra Instinct, and before long the discs start to cut him, while Goku continues to avoid the cards perfectly. In a few seconds, Belmod have to give up throwing cards and focus only on dodging the Kienzans. Goku surprises him using Kaioken, and unable to see, Belmod is torn to pieces by the multiple key discs. However, he had switched places with an illusion. The real one appears behind Goku, attacking him with a kick, but it was a mirage too. The real Goku appears from behind a mirror, firing an energy attack at Belmod, who has to dodge it. At this point, using his magical powers, SHINKEN has already found the dimension to which Belmod took Goku, and he is showing this fight on the hologram for Zeno and the guards to see. Zeno is extremely confused by this fight, saying that he doesn't understand anything that's happening. SHINKEN reminds Zeno about what he had told him before, about Belmod being a big cheat and a smartass, and then he explains that to beat Belmod, Goku is trying to be as smart as him. This is a combat strategy, where one person is always trying to be one step ahead of the other. In this fight, the winner will not be whoever is the strongest, but whoever is the smartest. Vegeta fires a barrage of energy attacks at Beerus, who dodges everything as he flies towards him and attacks with a punch, while the Saiyan defends to respond with a kick that takes the Hakaishin away for a few meters and then launches a globe of energy, which is countered by Iwan, who gets in front of Beerus to free him from the attack and responds with a wave of power that Vegeta also counters, but is hit by an energy attack from Champa that explodes on his back. Vegeta turns to respond to Champa's attack, but he is interrupted when he sees Super Mule opening several holes in his robotic body and firing a series of energy missiles at him. Vegeta flies to escape, but is chased through space as if the missiles could track him. The speed of the projectiles is impressive, and not even flying at ultra-fast speed can Vegeta manage to distance himself from the attacks, which come at him trying to hit, but the Saiyan dodges by maneuvering in the vacuum while continuing to flee. Vegeta moves away with a teleport, thinking he has gotten rid of the missiles, but a few seconds later, he was found again. Damn, how did these things chase me this far? He questions himself, impressed and irritated. Vegeta has no other option than to keep running. An entire constellation is covered by the Saiyan, then a solar system, a galaxy, and finally he's in another universe. It is only in the neighboring universe that Vegeta finally gets tired of running and fires an energy attack against one of the missiles. However, the destruction of one of the projectiles spreads and hits the others, and at that moment a chain effect begins, with explosions at cosmic levels spreading throughout the universe, destroying planets, asteroids, stars, solar systems, and even galaxies. In the end, the chain effect is so astronomically absurd that the entire universe is destroyed. At this moment, Universe 12 has just disappeared. Thanks to teleportation, Vegeta escaped that gigantic explosion, this time going to Universe 10. The destructive power of those missiles was absurd. If that had hit, not even I would come out unscathed, he thinks, relieved. Also very impressed by Super Mule's massive power is Zeno, who says that Super Mule's tricks are incredible and asks how Mule managed to create such a powerful machine. SHINKEN explains that the Mule is a demon who was born with incredible intelligence, but he hated his insect appearance and thought he was ugly and weak because of his body. And so he used all his incredible intelligence to learn how to create extremely ingenious machines. And using his robot systems and expanding their power with his energy, Mule can give life to the most powerful machines in existence. In terms of physical power, Mule is the weakest among all the gods of destruction because of the fragile constitution of his body. But when he uses his power to increase the efficiency ability of his machines, which are very ingenious and well produced, he becomes extremely powerful. After hearing all this, Zeno says that this guy is really amazing, and this super battle machine thing is really cool. It's a shame he's being controlled by the villain. Even after having escaped to Universe 10 to avoid being hit by the explosion, Vegeta doesn't have much time to rest, as the Super Mule is coming towards him at an extremely incredible speed, to the point of almost distorting space-time as he flies. The reason for all this speed are the propellant jets he has on his armor's fleet, which are powered by his monstrous ki. Because of the incredible speed of the enemy's approach, Vegeta realizes that the impact force of a collision would be extremely high, even for him, and so he avoids the collision by dodging to the side and letting Super Mule pass straight through. But to his surprise, Mule quickly maneuvers in vacuum, and while making propellant jets appear on his back, he projects himself towards Vegeta with incredible power, which generates a speed that surprises even the great Saiyan Hakaishin, who is hit squarely by a punch from the robot god. Vegeta spins for several kilometers through space until he manages to stop, but Super Mule is already on top of him again, and before he can react, he is grabbed by the battle machine and carried by it, with both moving at extraordinary speed thanks to the robot's propellant jets. Along the way, they find a poor planet, which is simply crossed and torn apart by the impact with both of them. But Vegeta doesn't let himself be carried for long, and explodes his ki in a way that drives Super Mule away, and then launches a barrage of energy attacks against him, but which are defended by a force field released by the robot. Vegeta was about to fly to physically attack Super Mule, but Iwan appeared in front of him, and then Beerus and Champa appeared on the sides. "Damn, are you guys here too?" Vegeta complains, very angry and impatient. In the parallel dimension of mirrors, waves of vibrations shatter the many mirrors spread across the dimension. The generators of these vibrations are the collisions of Goku and Belmod's attacks, which launch very strong blows against each other, loaded with massive force. The Saiyan and the Hakaishin fight at full speed and power in an exchange of attacks endowed with great physical power, but also with a lot of care and strategy. At one point, Belmod lands a punch on Goku's face that has enough force to throw him away. But before Goku can move away, Belmod grabs his arm and pulls him back to land another punch. But Goku is smarter and takes advantage of the Clown God's pull as a propellant to headbutt him in the face. After this headbutt, Belmod is very stunned, and Goku takes advantage of this to attack with a punch. But the Destroyer reacts with speed, pointing his hand at Goku and trapping him in his energy prison. "Damn it!" Goku exclaims. Belmod creates several energy cards in his hands and launches them at Goku with the intention of piercing his body. But Goku thinks quickly and teleports, escaping the energy prison and going behind the Hakaishin. "Take that!" With a very strong punch, he goes through Belmod's back and chest. But it was a mirage. The real Belmod appears behind Goku with a kick to the back of the head. But it was a mirage too. Behind the clown, Goku reappears preparing an attack, but then Goku simply doesn't attack Belmod in front of him, but turns around firing an energy laser at the Belmod who appears behind his back, piercing the Hakaishin's body. "Now I got you!" But that was a mirage too. The real Belmod was the one in front of Goku before, who turns around with an extremely strong punch that goes through Goku's back and abdomen, who this time is not a clone. When we see this, Zeno goes into despair. "Oh no, he tricked Goku!" The Daishinken just closes his eyes while saying, "Well, it seems that in this strategic fight, Belmod proved superior." But then Goku grabs Belmod's arm across his body while touching his hand to his own chest and says, "This time I'm sure you're real." For everyone's most complete shock, Goku simply pierces his own chest with a super concentrated energy laser, but the laser passes through him and hits Belmod in the head, instantly killing the Hakaishin. Zeno's mouth drops open when he sees this, but at the same time, as he's very surprised, he's also very excited. Daishinken is also surprised, and understanding Goku's intention explains, "Now I understand. Mr. Goku let himself be deceived on purpose by Belmod, so that he could achieve an attack that he thought was definitive." When Belmod landed the attack, Mr. Goku was sure it wasn't a clone, and then he made his own definitive attack. But after explaining this to Zeno, Daishinken says that Goku's situation is not good at all, as this injury will cost him dearly. Zeno says that Goku can use that ability to heal himself. The Grandmaster agrees, but says that this ability requires a considerable amount of energy. And after all these fights so far, Goku doesn't have much energy. From his castle, Cumber starts laughing at what happened to Belmod. He admits that not even he expected a strategy like that, and says that Goku is actually a very fun guy. However, he knows that this strategy was very risky and took a heavy toll on Goku. The hole in Goku's chest is closing, but he is very sweaty and panting, proving that Daishinken and Cumber are right. After Belmont's death, the mirrors of the strange dimension begin to break, and the walls of the dimension themselves also break. Goku reappears in the vacuum of space where Rumshi is waiting for him. He stares at the elephant god with a very tense expression, while panting and sweat runs all over his face. Goku is very relieved that he only has one more opponent left, but at the same time, he's very tense because he knows that he is more limited than ever now. In space, Vegeta exchanges several blows against Super Mule, Iwan, Beerus, and Champa at the same time. At a complete disadvantage in this exchange against the 4 Hakaishins, Vegeta retreats, but Super Mule, transforming his 2 forearms into a kind of electric saw, stretches his arms towards Vegeta, attacking him with attacks that appear to be that of a cutting whip. Realizing that those saws had enough power to break his body, Vegeta was forced to dodge, making skillful maneuvers through space while barely avoiding Super Mule's attacks. But Vegeta's life becomes even more complicated when the other gods also begin to attack, firing energy attacks at him, and then he needs to deal with Super Mule's saws while dodging the other 3's shots. In a moment, Vegeta manages to go from defensive to offensive when he leaves the middle of the attack zone with a teleport and appears behind Super Mule, who retracts his arms and, transforming them back to normal, defends a series of Vegeta's attacks. But amidst the physical attacks, Vegeta suddenly fires a point-blank energy attack that knocks Super Mule away. After pushing the robot away, breaking its defense with this energy attack, Vegeta flies towards him to continue his attacks, but Super Mule immediately responds as he is pushed away, causing his 2 hands to detach from his body and go in Vegeta's direction, powered by jets on his wrists. Vegeta, who wasn't expecting this, receives 2 punches at the same time to his chest, being stopped and retreated by Mule's hands, which, as if they had a life of their own, begin to fly around Vegeta while launching a sequence of attacks at him. Taking advantage of this, Champa and Beerus, positioning themselves on Vegeta's sides but keeping their distance, create 2 energy globes and launch them. As Super Mule's hands retreat to avoid being hit, the 2 power attacks meet as they collide with Vegeta, creating a gigantic explosion in that region of space. At that moment, Vegeta managed to defend himself from the explosion by creating an energy shield around him at the moment when Super Mule's hands moved away. But the power of Beerus and Champa's combined attack was so high that Vegeta's shield was completely cracked, and taking advantage of the fragility of the shield, Iwan approached with a flying attack that broke the shield and hit the Saiyan in the middle of the chest. Very angry, Vegeta was about to retaliate against this attack, but Super Mule approached him from behind and hit Vegeta with a paralyzing ray. "Damn it!" he screams. Taking advantage of Vegeta's paralysis, Iwan prepares a super powerful energy attack and launches it at him. But at the last moment, Vegeta manages to disperse Super Mule's energy with his power and dodges it. Super Mule, who was behind Vegeta, ends up being hit by Iwan's attack, which explodes right into his body. Taking advantage of this gap, Vegeta advances against Super Mule with a sequence of punches full of power and fury, making the machine's metallic armor resonate with the monstrous impacts of the blows. Holding Super Mule by the arm, Vegeta accumulates a massive amount of strength in one of his hands and hits the robot's chest, crushing it. After that, with the same hand that punched and still touches Super Mule's chest, Vegeta fires an energy laser that finishes piercing the machine and passes through his body. Iwan comes behind Vegeta's back ready to attack, but he launches Super Mule against the god of Universe 1, stopping his advance. Beerus and Champa move forward to try to stop Vegeta's sequence of attacks, but before they can do so, the Saiyan fires a Big Bang attack, loaded with extraordinary power, that hits Super Mule right in the hole in his chest and explodes inside him, completely destroying Super Mule from the inside out, while also hitting Iwan with an explosion of astronomical levels that simply explodes that entire galaxy. At the end of that cataclysmic event of astronomical proportions, all that remains of what once was the northern galaxy of Universe 10 is just a blank space. In this space are Vegeta, Beerus, and Champa. Super Mule was completely destroyed, and this time Vegeta is sure about Mule's death, unlike Moscow's explosion. But the one who also disappeared was Iwan, which makes Vegeta deduce that he also died, which was expected after receiving such a powerful attack at such close range. Beerus and Champa look at Vegeta very seriously. The Saiyan, despite being breathless from having released so much power in that last attack, smiles and says, "Looks like there's only the 2 of you left, right? I think it's normal for you to be more tense. Come on, release all the power you have. At this moment, there's no point in you saving power anymore." As if they understood him, Beerus and Champa do as he says, starting to release a huge amount of energy, achieving a new transformation that just by looking at Vegeta recognizes as being extremely powerful. Vegeta closes his eyes to focus on where Goku is, and through the sensation of ki, he analyzes his situation. Now Kakarot only has one opponent left, which means he has an advantage over me in numbers. But Kakarot's ki is much lower than normal, which means this fight won't be as quick. If I deal with Beerus and Champa quickly, I have a chance to win this contest. Even seeing the most powerful forms of the two gods of destruction in front of him, Vegeta smiles as he takes his combat stance and says, "Let's get this over with. Bring it on." In Universe 8, Goku faces Rumshi. He is now completely healed from the injury caused by the Belmont. However, he's very exhausted. Sensing what is happening to Vegeta, Goku realizes that Iwan and Mule's energy has just disappeared. So he mentally comments on the situation. It looks like Vegeta managed to make a very good turn in the fight and finished off two of them at once. He still has two opponents to face, and one of them is Lord Beerus. But he's still in a better situation than me, since I'm much more tired. Man, I think that until recently I had a huge advantage in the dispute. This way I'll lose, and I won't be able to fight Cumber. But despite the difficult situation, even though he's very tired, Goku forces a smile while saying to his opponent the following, "Look, I have to admit, I didn't expect that she would be my final opponent in this fight." Rumshi doesn't respond at all, just stares at him with an angry look. But the Elephant God's anger isn't necessarily directed at Goku, but rather because of the evil energy that consumes him. The owner of the evil energy that possesses Rumshi observes the entire fight through his own energy. He watches everything from Universe 7 in his castle located on planet Cumber, sitting on his throne. Cumber gives his own analysis of the fight. Son Goku has fought very well so far. However, he's clearly already very tired. His movements will no longer be as precise, nor will his blows be as strong. Will he be able to win? Well, this will be fun to watch. Then Cumber directs his attention to what happens elsewhere in the multiverse in Universe 10. In the vacuum of Universe 10 space, Vegeta faces Beerus and Champa, who have just transformed, greatly increasing their powers compared to before. Vegeta looks at them with a tense and focused look while thinking the following. So far, I've received many attacks and used very powerful attacks. My energy is far from what it is at maximum. On the other hand, one of my opponents is Beerus, so I can't afford to spare power. It's bad enough that I can't use my Shinken transformation. Saving more power than that could be the death of me. Cumber also analyzes Vegeta's situation. For some reason, until now, Vegeta has refused to use that power that he used against my clone. He's probably very afraid of spending too much power, or that I will be able to learn that skill somehow. The result of this was that he had much more trouble than he could have had, and now his body is very worn out. To make matters worse, one of his opponents is Beerus. How's he going to deal with this? In the palace of the Supreme God, Zeno watches with great tension alongside Daishinken and his guards. The Grand Minister warns, "Great Zeno, pay close attention from now on. I think that it's not long. We're going to see the outcome of this great battle." Despite the difficult situation, Goku smiles at his opponent and says while taking his combat stance, "Let's go. Let's get this over with, because I have a bet to win." Rumshi goes on the attack. The God of Universe 10 advances against Goku with a punch full of power, but Goku dodges it to the side while landing a kick to the Hakaishin's back of the head. However, his head barely moves. Rumshi soon counterattacks with another punch, which Goku also dodges, this time from below, while landing a punch straight into the opponent's abdomen, who again barely moves. Rumshi's next attack is a kick which Goku dodges by going above and retaliates with a top-down kick right at the top of the Hakaishin's head, but also without effect. Rumshi retaliates with a kick from below, but Goku disappears at high speed and reappears behind with a kick to the back, which also has no effect. The Elephant God turns around with an armful, which Goku dodges by retreating, while he responds with a wave of energy that hits Rumshi squarely in the torso. This time he's moved a little away, but a few meters later, he manages to stop, resisting incredibly well. "Damn, this guy is tough," Goku thinks while grinding his teeth. After resisting the last attack, Rumshi charges forward again. Even in the face of the most powerful forms of his two opponents, Vegeta smiles as he takes up his combat stance and says, "Let's get this over with. Bring it on." But even though he calls his opponents to fight, he is the one who makes the first move. Vegeta disappears and reappears at high speed right in front of Champa, preparing a powerful punch. "I'll start with the weakest," he screams, but his punch is simply held, leaving Vegeta completely surprised. After holding back the punch, Champa retaliates with a hook with his other hand right in Vegeta's stomach, causing the Saiyan God a lot of pain, and then throws him into the air with a kick to the chin to fire a barrage of energy balls that hit Vegeta and cause multiple explosions in the vacuum. Beerus then attacks, firing a beam of energy that hits Vegeta in the middle of the smoke and carries him out. launching the Hakaishin Saiyan away. Rumshi chases Goku through space, throwing a series of punches at him. Goku retreats while dodging and looking for an opening. Finally seeing a chance, he counterattacks with an upward kick to Rumshi's chin, who has his head thrown back, giving the impression that he was stunned. Goku takes the opportunity to attack with a punch, but he has to stop and dodge when the Elephant God simply spits a wave of power from his mouth, which Goku avoids narrowly. Man, that was dangerous, he thinks as he walks away. Goku retaliates with a sequence of energy spears, but Rumshi simply advances in a straight line while receiving all the explosions like a true war machine. The power with which Rumshi launched himself towards Goku is incredible, and even though his locomotion is delayed by the energy spears, he arrives at high speed to attack with a punch, making Goku need to escape with an instant transmission. After reappearing, Goku releases a wave of energy from his hands, but Rumshi again advances in a straight line, receiving the attack head-on while closing the distance at extraordinary speed until he arrives with another punch at Goku, who again avoids with a teleportation. Goku attacks again, this time with a globe of super concentrated energy, but Rumshi advances, piercing his energy globe with his own body, letting Goku's attack explode behind him as he continues to approach. Once again, Goku dodges his punch with a teleport, but this time, Rumshi seems to sense where he is going to appear and fires a discharge of energy towards Goku, which when it appears already has to dodge the shot in the last second, but distracted by this attack, Goku is unable to avoid Rumshi, who advances towards him with incredible power and arrives, grabbing and carrying him through space at incredible speed. The speed with which Rumshi carries Goku is such that he seems to cross an entire constellation in a second. Along the way, they hit a star, completely destroying it in a large-scale explosion. But even after that, they continue until they finally stop when they collide with a large planet, where Rumshi buries Goku in the ground with his extraordinary strength, and then prepares a punch to sink Goku's face into the ground. But the Saiyan is smart, and using teleportation, he escapes. Rumshi's punch hits the planet and then completely explodes it. Watching all this, Zeno is completely impressed, and he asks how Rumshi can have so much speed and destructive power. Daishinken says that the basis of Rumshi's power is in one thing, his strength. He explains that the speed with which Rumshi is projecting his body towards Goku is thanks to the power generated by his monstrous strength. And this strength can of course also be seen in his extremely strong punches. The Grand Master says that in terms of physical strength, Rumshi has always been the reference among the gods of destruction, and he was even capable of carrying an entire solar system with just the strength of his body. Of course, Zeno is impressed by this and concludes that Goku is in trouble facing this guy. Daishinken agrees and says that in the current state of his body, Goku would not be able to resist many of Rumshi's attacks, so he only has a chance in this fight by managing to avoid his attacks and making good attacks capable of hurting Rumshi. But the problem is that Goku is very tired and his attack power is also decreased, while Rumshi, in addition to being very strong, is also very resistant. In other words, Goku will have a lot of problems winning this fight. Vegeta is in an exchange of attacks with Beerus and Champa. He is being put under a lot of pressure by both of them, since in addition to both being very powerful, they are also fighting with a synchronicity that Vegeta didn't expect. There is a moment when Beerus and Champa attack at the same time, but Vegeta escapes by disappearing in front of them and reappearing at a certain distance to launch a globe of energy of destruction against them. But after the explosion of the attack, Vegeta realizes that Champa protected the two with an energy shield, while Beerus prepared an attack concentrating a very large amount of destruction power in his hands. As soon as Champa undoes the shield, Beerus releases a massive wave of purple energy, and that power goes towards Vegeta with such speed that he barely manages to dodge it, moving to the side. But Champa surprises by simply appearing behind him and kicking Vegeta in the direction of the energy wave. Vegeta ends up entering the wave of power and carried by it. After this attack, he is clearly much more injured, but he has to fight again with Beerus and Champa attacking him. Champa arrives with a kick that Vegeta defends, but the force of the attack is enough to undo Vegeta's defense. Then Champa retreats with a somersault, while Beerus comes with a well-aimed punch in the middle of Vegeta's chest. And after Beerus hits Vegeta, Champa finishes his somersault by launching a sphere of power at the Saiyan, while Beerus moves out of the way to let him receive the attack. Vegeta, despite being in pain from Beerus's punch, holds back Champa's energy attack and tries hard not to be carried by him. But Beerus then comes from behind and launches a similar attack, which hits Vegeta's back and explodes at the same time as Champa's attack, generating a gigantic explosion. Zeno comments to Daishinken that he didn't expect to see Beerus and Champa acting as a team like that, since the two are always arguing all the time. Shinken says that it is partly happening because the two are being dominated by Cumber's energy, but also says that in the past these two were not as disunited as they are today. In fact, they formed an incredible duo and were the most powerful warriors in Universe 7. He says that Beerus and Champa were such incredible warriors that they were both tipped to become gods of destruction, but the problem was that only one of them could be the god of Universe 7, and this caused a conflict between them. There was a very fierce battle which lasted 2 days and 2 nights, and at the end of the battle, by a very small advantage, Beerus ended up winning. Because of his defeat, Champa was given Universe 6 to rule, but the truth is that he was never satisfied with having to rule another universe, and this caused him and Beerus to resent each other this entire time. But before all this rivalry, they were very close brothers, and together they fought like no one else, and it seems that the state of little consciousness that they are in now ended up awakening this rapport between them, and that is certainly very bad for Vegeta. Goku retreats at high speed through space while the god of destruction from Universe 10 punches him with a series of punches that seem endless. In a moment, Goku manages to escape from Rumshi's front and go behind his back and launch a Kienzan, which is almost well successful, even cutting off part of the destroyer's giant ear. Rumshi is outraged by this and advances again with a punch, but Goku dodges the Hakaishin by jumping over him and while above fires an upside-down Kamehameha into Rumshi's back, which sends him plummeting for thousands of kilometers through space until it lands on a floating celestial body. Goku smiles, and in his thoughts he reflects that although his attacks have lost a lot of power because of fatigue, at least he can compensate for that with many counterattacks while dodging Rumshi's blows. Now that Goku understands the pattern of his enemy's blows, it's easier to dodge, as Rumshi's attacks are very linear and not very malleable due to the fact that he puts a lot of force into them. Thanks to his Ultra Instinct, he still has a chance to win, even though he's so tired. But then Rumshi, already standing, fills his lungs and then releases an extremely powerful shot with all his strength. The power of the sound of the god of destruction scream seems to simply invade Goku's body, completely paralyzing him. Oh no, I forgot he could do that! Goku thinks, desperate, as he feels his control over his own body simply disappear. Zeno is very impressed by this and asks Shinken what Rumshi just did. It seems that in this reality, the battle royale between all the gods of destruction never happened, so Zeno never saw this technique. Shinken explains that this is a special ability of Rumshi, which is called Battle Roar. He says that Rumshi is known for having the most powerful lungs in all the universes, and that's why he can use this ability, where he screams with so much power that it paralyzes his opponents' motor nerves, restricting their movements. While he was still immortal, Rumshi was known as an excellent and extremely powerful and feared warrior. Even going to attack his enemies, he liked to warn them of his arrival with his battle roar. Even from millions of miles away, his battle roar could be heard by them, and they knew that destruction was approaching, becoming terrified. When Rumshi used his battle roar in battle, his opponent's body simply couldn't handle the pressure and imploded. He defeated an entire army like that. Shinken says it's incredible that Goku is staying upright after receiving that sonic impact at such close range and being so worn out. But not even he can resist this and maintain himself well, and this is a very big problem, since with his movements restricted, his dodging and defense capabilities are very limited. He is now vulnerable to Rumshi's extremely strong attacks. Cumber remembers at the moment he faced Rumshi, he was also very impressed by his raw power, and among all the gods, the god of Universe 10 was the only one he couldn't surpass in brute strength. To make matters worse with his battle roar, he is able to nullify Goku's main ability, which is Ultra Instinct, which makes Rumshi probably the worst possible opponent for Goku among all the gods of destruction. After paralyzing Goku with his battle roar, Rumshi goes towards him like a killer rocket, rising towards Goku with an upward punch that simply buries his hand in his stomach, while pushing him into the air and making the Saiyan vomit an absurd amount of blood. Oh no, Goku thinks while feeling the desperate pain of the attack. Vegeta continues the extremely fierce fight against Beerus and Champa, a fight that makes the entire Universe 10 tremble, while the impacts of his blows resonate throughout the galaxies. Vegeta remains at a complete disadvantage in this fight, still having a lot of difficulty dealing with the well-matched blows from the Hakaishin twins. At the same time, he receives a kick from Beerus in the face and another from Champa in the ribs, each attacking from one side. In rage, Vegeta releases his power in a wave of impact that pushes them both away, and then attacks Champa with several furious punches, but Champa defends his attacks very well and retaliates with a very strong punch to Vegeta's chest, who recoils in great pain. and then receives a shot of energy from the Universe 6 God at close range. Vegeta feels these attacks a lot, but he attacks Champa again with a punch, which Champa responds in the same way. When their punches collide, Vegeta's arm is simply thrown back by the enemy's strength, opening the necessary gap for a kick to land right in his face. Then Champa starts hitting Vegeta multiple times. Punches, kicks, knees, elbows, all attacks reach the Saiyan's body with maximum power. Curse! Since when did this loser become so strong? Vegeta asks himself as he suffers all of Champa's blows. While seeing this, Daishinken comments to Zeno that it seems like Vegeta greatly underestimated Champa. He thought that his only real problem in the fight was Beerus, and that he could quickly get rid of Champa to focus on Beerus. But he was very wrong. Zeno comments that he is also surprised, since he always heard that the gods thought Champa was some kind of loser, and that the gods didn't seem to have much respect for him. Daishinken says that this is true, and that Champa has always been considered a decadent god, and one of the weakest among the Hakaishins. But as he had said before, Champa in the past was as strong as Beerus, which means he always had incredible potential. The problem was that after being defeated by Beerus and having to go to another universe, Champa became very depressed and ended up giving in to gluttony and laziness, which made him decline a lot as a fighter. But the truth is that deep down, Champa always had one of the greatest potentials among the gods, and it seems that the fact that he was being dominated by Cumber's evil energy awakened this in him in some way. The angel concludes by saying that underestimating him could have been Vegeta's deadly mistake. Cumber remembers the moment he defeated Champa. At that moment, he was extremely disappointed because among all the gods, he was one of the easiest to defeat. He is really surprised to see the power that Champa is showing now, and regrets not having seen it when he fought against the Universe 6 God. A very strong punch from Champa lands right in Vegeta's face, making the Saiyan expel a large amount of blood through his nose. Vegeta holds Champa's arm and delivers a very strong punch to his chest, but Champa resists the blow and applies an even stronger knee to Vegeta's abdomen, who retreats with his hands on the painful area. You bastard! Vegeta advances with a kick, but Champa holds his leg and elbows him very hard in the thigh, which hurts a lot. And then, still holding Vegeta by the leg, he extends his hand and fires a ki blast that explodes right in Vegeta's face and knocks him away. Furious, Vegeta prepares a Gallic gun but is shooed away by a flying kick from Beerus, who arrives with everything he's got. Beerus and Champa stand side by side and unleash a massive wave of power together. Vegeta also launches a wave of power in response, but easily loses the fight and needs to use instant transmission to escape being run over by his enemy's attacks. But Champa immediately chases him, appearing at high speed in front of him and hitting Vegeta squarely in the stomach with a punch. After doing this, he points his hand at the Saiyan's face, accumulating his power of destruction. He's going to kill me! Vegeta notices his eyes wide in alarm. But he, in a reflex act, reacts by digging his two fingers into Champa's eyes, who is surprised by this sudden movement and undoes the attack he was preparing. After doing this, Vegeta takes advantage of the opportunity and, accumulating his power in one of his arms, fires a punch straight into Champa's chest, going through his body. Then he completes the attack by extending his other hand towards Champa's head and firing a wave of energy at close range that simply disintegrates his head. After doing this, Vegeta removes his arm from Champa's body, which floats headless through the vacuum. While observing the opponent he just killed, the Hakaishin Saiyan says, "You really managed to surprise me. You were a much tougher opponent than I could have imagined. Congratulations. I'm not proud that I needed to resort to such a low attack to defeat you, but this is a fight I can't lose." After paying his respects to Champa, he looks at Beerus, who was simply paralyzed by witnessing his brother's death in such a brutal attack, with his eyes completely wide open and mouth open. With a pious look, Vegeta comments, "It seems that even without much awareness, you feel your brother's death. Sorry for that." Suddenly, an energy begins to circulate Beerus, an extremely dense and powerful energy which surprises Vegeta. "What is that?" the Saiyan asked, intrigued. Beerus begins to emanate a monstrous amount of power, with the simple act of releasing his energy causing intense vibrations and tremors throughout the universe. But how could this be? Wasn't he already using his full power? Vegeta asks himself. The person who is also very surprised by this is Zeno, who asks Daishinken what is happening. Daishinken says that despite being known as one of the strongest among the gods of destruction, the truth is that Beerus has also declined a lot over the years, giving up his training to sleep for long periods. Unlike Champa, who stopped training because he was depressed, Beerus stopped training simply out of boredom. He was always at the top of the power hierarchy, and because of that he stopped finding opponents at his level and no longer saw the need to train and overcome himself. Zeno questions Daishinken about Quaitella, since he himself said that Beerus and Quaitella always competed for the position of the strongest. strongest. Wasn't that a training motivation for Beerus? Shinken says that it is true that Quaitella has always been a rival for Beerus. However, not even Quaitella came close to his real potential, and that is why Beerus always managed to remain at a level above Quaitella even with little effort. In short, the rivalry with Quaitella actually helped Beerus not become completely sloppy like Champa, but it was still far from being enough to make the God of Destruction of Universe 7 use his full potential. But now, after seeing his brother's death and fueled by Cumber's energy of wrath, Beerus has finally released the full potential that has been hidden for millions of years. Vegeta watches with his mouth open at what appeared right in front of him. Beerus, the Destroyer, had just shown another transformation, a form that displays a power unlike anything he knew among the gods of destruction. From now on, Vegeta would experience the true power of the great Beerus. Frustrated by the immense difficulty of landing blows on Goku, who avoids his attacks thanks to the incredible movements of Ultra Instinct, Rumshi decides to restrict Goku's movements. He does this using his Battle Roar, an ability in which, using the most powerful lungs of all universes, the God of Universe 10 releases a battle cry so absurdly loud and intense that it paralyzes the motor nerves of all nearby. Close enough to be affected by this ability, Goku feels his body's movements limited to tremors, no longer having control over his own motion. After paralyzing Goku with his Battle Roar, Rumshi shoots towards him like a deadly rocket, rising towards Goku with an ascending punch that simply buries his hand in Goku's stomach, pushing him upward and causing the Saiyan to vomit an absurd amount of blood. "Oh no," Goku thinks as he feels the desperate pain of the attack. Following this move, several very powerful punches hit Goku's body, extremely strong blows from the Elephant God that shake the Saiyan's already injured body, only worsening with each attack. "Damn, what abyssal strength this guy has," Goku thinks, impressed with suffering from each blow. Rumshi's sequence of punches is interrupted to make way for a devastating kick from the Hakaishin, hitting Goku's face, crushing it, and then sending the old Saiyan hundreds of light years away to collide with a planetoid that has no chance of resisting such an impact. And after a few more hundred light years, he encounters a cold star that withstands the impact, but not without having its entire surface cracked. But the star is destroyed in the next second when Rumshi advances with a flying kick that sinks Goku even deeper and pierces the large celestial body, which is shattered in the end. Goku is carried by the Destroyer with his foot sunk into his chest for several more hundred light years, until finally, as they approach a planet, Rumshi stops his flight and lets Goku continue his forced movement to collide with the planet, hitting its surface with all strength and cracking half of it. After so many powerful attacks, Goku vomits a huge amount of blood, acknowledging the various internal injuries these attacks caused. "Damn, I can't keep receiving attacks like this, or else." Rumshi advances further, but suddenly he stops when he senses something. Goku feels the same thing and is equally impressed. "This power, don't tell me it's Lord Beerus. It looks like Vegeta is going to have a lot of trouble," he notes. Vegeta watches in astonishment as something appeared right in front of him. Beerus the Destroyer had just revealed another transformation, a form that displays a power different from anything he knew among the gods of destruction. "It can't be. How does Lord Beerus have such great power? It's much stronger than the Beerus that Kakarot faced in the other reality," he comments in thought. Beerus shoots toward him at such a speed that it scares even Vegeta, who reflexively reacts by firing a wave of energy at the Hakaishin, who was already right in front of him. But even though he is in front of Vegeta, Beerus manages to move at incredible speed behind his back. Vegeta immediately turns and sees that a punch charged with force and fury is coming. He blocks, but the impact of the attack is so monstrous that it passes through the defense and pierces Vegeta's body, causing him great pain. "What a monstrous punch," he thinks, completely surprised and impressed after feeling that blow. Zeno is completely surprised as well, as he didn't imagine that Beerus could still increase his power so much. He then asks Shinken what happened. Shinken says that despite being known as one of the strongest among the gods of destruction, the truth is that Beerus also declined significantly over the years, giving up his training to sleep for long periods. The reason Beerus stopped training was boredom. He always thought he was at the top of the power hierarchy, and because of that he stopped finding opponents of his caliber and saw no need to train and surpass himself. Zeno questions Shinken about Quaitella, as he himself mentions that Beerus and Quaitella always competed for the position of the strongest. Wasn't that a motivation for Beerus to train? Shinken says it's true that Quaitella has always been a rival to Beerus. However, not even Quaitella came close to his true potential, and therefore Beerus could always maintain a level above Quaitella with little equal effort. In summary, indeed the rivalry with Quitella prevented Beerus from becoming completely careless, but it was still far from enough to make the God of Destruction of Universe 7 use his full potential. But now, after seeing his brother's death at the hands of Vegeta, and fueled by Cumber's anger energy, Beerus has finally unleashed all the potential that had been hidden for millions of years. And of course for Vegeta this is a very big problem. In his castle, knowing everything that happened, thanks to his energy dominating the bodies of the gods, Cumber goes completely insane, feeling the overwhelming power of Beerus. When he faced Beerus, the god of Universe 7 didn't come close to using such power. Cumber feels completely furious and frustrated for not being the one who experienced a battle against the great Beerus using his maximum power. The hand of the king of evil Saiyans tightens his own throne, crushing part of it. Curse you, Vegeta, you lucky bastard. But Vegeta doesn't feel so lucky. Through the vast space of Universe 10, he is beaten by Beerus. Hundreds of blows per second hit his body, making the Saiyan god feel his muscles, an entire skeleton being crushed by the hands, feet, elbows, and knees of the God of Destruction of Universe 7. But at one moment, Vegeta finally manages to react, deflecting one of Beerus' punches with one hand and retaliating with a punch with the other. However, the cat god defends his punch with an elbow strike that hurts Vegeta's hand and makes him retract it. It is at this moment that he opens up for a well-placed kick to the abdomen, making him expel his own blood along with saliva. Beerus attempts another kick which Vegeta manages to defend with his arms, but the force of the blow throws his arms backward, opening up his guard again for another blow to the abdomen. This time a punch that feels crushing his abdominal muscles along with the stomach and intestines. Another punch from Beerus comes, this time aiming for the center of Vegeta's face, but he offers his forehead to be punched, causing a crack in the bone and skin that spills his blood. Vegeta tries to compensate by grabbing Beerus' arm while advancing with a punch, but his blow is intercepted with a kick coming from below straight to his chin. With his balance destabilized by this last attack, Vegeta receives another blow to the abdomen, this time a spinning kick that sends him flying. Someone else who is also thrown far away is Goku, who travels through the sky of some planet until hitting and passing through a mountain, then hitting the ground and destroying it for several kilometers before finally stopping. Goku coughs up his own blood, internally injured by the last attack. "This guy's strength is extraordinary. These blows are finishing me," he thinks. From the sky, Rumshi comes like a meteor to fall on Goku. Goku escapes by getting up and jumping away, letting Rumshi hit the ground and destroy the entire area around with the impact. But even before Goku returns to the ground from his jump, the Hakaishin already jumps towards him with great power and reaches Goku in the air with a body blow that throws him to the other side of the planet. Only on the other side of the planet does Goku finally manage to stop his movement, landing safely, but Rumshi arrives at him in the next second, trying another body blow in a low flight. Goku narrowly dodges, but then the destroyer maneuvers his body and returns with an identical attack that hits Goku and pushes him away, knocking him to the ground. Since it has been a few minutes since he was affected by the battle roar, Goku can now move, but he still hasn't regained 100% control of his movements, and so he still has a lot of difficulty recovering from Rumshi's attacks. At this moment, Goku has an idea, and then he smiles as he places 2 fingers on his forehead, saying the following: "Sorry about this, but I'll be back in a moment," he tells his opponent. Rumshi approaches to attack, but Goku escapes with instant transmission. Zeno, seeing this, asks Daishinken why Goku fled and suggests that it might have been to catch his breath, since he spent a long time fighting in the vacuum of space without being able to breathe. Daishinken says that Goku definitely didn't escape to breathe, as the planet they were on now has oxygen. The angel deduces that Goku retreated to let the effects of the battle roar pass a little more, as he is having a lot of difficulty fighting with the movements restricted. After about a minute, Goku returns with instant transmission, and he already returns with a smile on his face. Taking his combat stance, he calls out his opponent. "Come on, I'm much better now." Rumshi goes for it. The Hakaishin arrives with a devastating punch, which Goku skillfully avoids smoothly with an incredible technique, guiding the destroyer's arm with his hands, letting him pass through. And when Rumshi turns his back to him, Goku hits him with an energy attack that explodes right on his back. Rumshi turns, trying a spinning armful, but Goku dodges by crouching, and then rises while landing a very strong upward punch to the enemy's chin. And then, gathering more force than usual in his hand, he advances with a devastating straight punch, but it is held back when Rumshi wraps his trunk around his arm. "What?" Goku exclaims. The counterattack comes, a very powerful hook to the abdomen that throws Goku's body high. But with his arm still caught by Rumshi's trunk, Goku is spun by him, and then thrown high to then receive an energy attack that only doesn't explode directly on him, because at the last moment he managed to maneuver his body in the air to dodge. As soon as he lands on the ground, Goku falls on one knee with his hand on his abdomen, which is really sore. The internal injuries from this guy blows are no joke, he reflects. If it continues like this, I'm really going to die. On one side comes Vegeta, on the other, Beerus. They meet in a clash of knees, generating a monstrous impact force around. In this struggle, it is Vegeta who ends up destabilizing and retreating, while Beerus advances with a sequence of punches against the Saiyan, who struggles to defend himself. Vegeta stops the punch sequence with a kick to Beerus' abdomen, who takes advantage of the opportunity to grab his leg and start spinning Vegeta with great force. But Vegeta reacts by launching a key sphere that explodes in Beerus' face, making him let go. Taking advantage of this opening, Vegeta advances with a sequence of punches to Beerus' face, ending with a punch with much more force aimed directly at Beerus' mouth. But the cat god surprises by biting the hand of the Saiyan god, and with Vegeta's hand caught in his mouth, he points his hand at Vegeta's face and explodes a key ball on him, making the Saiyan recoil dazed. As soon as Vegeta backs away, Beerus clasps his hand together and releases an energy attack that hits Vegeta's torso and carries him for a few moments. But soon enough, Vegeta exerts enough force to stop his movement and deflect Beerus' energy with a blow to advance against him, preparing another blow. But he is again surprised when Beerus advances against him, with a well-placed knee in the middle of the face. After this knee comes a hail of punches to Vegeta's face, who feels his cheeks, nose, eyes, and mouth being completely crushed by the force of Beerus' fists. But Vegeta reacts by creating an energy ball in his hand and hitting a slap, crushing this key ball against Beerus' face, functioning as a kind of explosive slap, which affects him enough to stop the punches. After hitting this slap, Vegeta points his hand at Beerus' chest to unleash a point-blank energy attack. But Beerus surprises him by dodging his hand and letting Vegeta's energy hit nothing but vacuum, and then counterattacks with a sequence of explosive spears that pop on Vegeta's chest while pushing him away. A sequence of explosive spears also pop on Rumshi's body, which despite receiving a series of explosions head-on, runs with incredible ferocity towards Goku, who relentlessly fires shots at him, trying to stop the unrestrained advance of the Elephant God. Seeing that he wouldn't be able to stop Rumshi, Goku sees no choice but to dodge, making a leap over the Hakaishin of Universe 10 while firing a Kamehameha at him from the air. The attack would hit him from above and behind, but Rumshi is agile in reacting and turns to deflect Goku's energy with a slap. He then makes an open-handed attack motion towards him, causing the pressure from his blow to throw Goku even higher in the air while spinning. And then Rumshi takes advantage of this moment to jump towards him with a kick that sends Goku flying away like a soccer ball. Surprised by what is happening, Zeno comments to Daishinken that he thought Goku would handle Rumshi better after recovering from the Battle Roar effects. Daishinken says that despite the apparent passing of the Battle Roar effects, Goku is very tired and injured, so his movement is still very limited. And besides, Rumshi is a very strong and resistant god, and it's not easy to deal with someone like that in Goku's current situation. Daishinken also notes that Rumshi didn't use the Battle Roar again, which means he probably needs time to recover his lungs after such an effort, but possibly not long from now, he will be able to use this ability again, and when that happens, it will be the end of Goku. In summary, Goku needs to find a way to end this fight quickly, or he will be defeated. Zeno becomes very disheartened by Goku's situation, and then asks how things are going with Vegeta. Taking a look at Vegeta's combat through his hologram, Daishinken says that in Vegeta's case things are not so good either, but they are a little better, since despite Beerus' gigantic power, he is managing to adapt very well. Vegeta's and Beerus' kicks meet, forming an X with their legs while releasing a strong impact wave. Next, their fists collide, releasing an even larger impact wave. And finally, their heads, which release another even larger shock wave as their blood splatters from their bodies. But in this struggle, Beerus loses, staggering back a little stunned. Vegeta takes advantage of the opening to attack with a punch, ultra loaded with force, but Beerus dodges and grabs the Saiyan by the face while starting to carry him at astronomical speed. Beerus carries him towards a floating celestial body to hit Vegeta's head with everything on this huge rock. But Vegeta surprises by managing to spin behind the Hakaishin and grabbing him by the head, hitting Beerus' face with everything on it. Leaving the God of Universe 7 hanging like a nail on the rock, Vegeta quickly backs away, and raising his ki a lot, he fires a massive energy sphere that when it hits Beerus and the rock, unleashes a mammoth explosion. But Beerus defended himself with an energy shield, having raised his power even more. Damn, This guy still had more power to unleash? Vegeta complains, very irritated. With a surprising increase in speed, Beerus moves almost instantly in front of Vegeta, hitting him squarely in the middle of the chest with a punch. After being caught completely off guard by Beerus' considerably increased speed and strength, Vegeta begins to be punished by extremely heavy blows, leaving him helpless. Curse it, I can't even react to him, the Saiyan thinks, almost in despair. Vegeta desperately tries to react with a punch, but Beerus holds his arm and then simply breaks it with a punch. As Vegeta retreats screaming in pain, the God of Universe 7 forms several key spheres around him and then launches them all at once against Vegeta, creating explosions that make the entire universe vibrate. Oh no, Zeno says as he watches what happens to Vegeta, beginning to lose confidence in the fight he had more hope for. It seems Mr. Beerus surprised all of us by raising his power even more, Daishinken comments. Goku flies through the sky of the planet where he and Rumshi are battling. At this moment, he is fleeing from the God of Destruction of Universe 10, while dodging various energy attacks from the Hakaishin, who tries to hit him with everything he has. I can't go on like this. I need to finish this guy in my next attack, Goku thinks, while continuing to fly and dodge. He begins to focus energy in his hands, preparing a Kamehameha. Meanwhile, he thinks, I still want to conserve energy to not use that too early, but I have no other choice. As Goku gains time with his evasions, the energy concentrated in his hands becomes denser. Seeing this, Rumshi becomes attentive, understanding that it will be a very powerful attack, and he needs to avoid receiving it. The Hakaishin increases the pressure, chasing Goku with more speed, while firing even more attacks. As his speed increases, he gets closer and closer, until he finally reaches Goku with a punch. But Goku disappears. It's instant transmission. And then he reappears behind Rumshi, with his Kamehameha already prepared. Now you're going to die. Goku extends his arms. It's going to be a point-blank shot, but then Rumshi roars. The battle roar of the God of Destruction of Universe 10 causes a gigantic sonic impact, making Goku's body freeze as the energy in his hands simply disappears, and the Saiyan is pushed away by the force of sound. In the next second, the entire planet is shattered by the power of the roar of the Elephant God, becoming floating debris in space. Floating amid the planet's wreckage, Goku is completely stunned. Darn it, not now, he thinks, very frustrated. Daishinken closes his eyes in a sign of sadness as he explains to Zeno that Rumshi managed to recover his lungs and saved his battle roar to use it in the last moment of emergency when Goku would make his ultimate attack. Zeno becomes very apprehensive about this and asks what will happen now. Daishinken simply saying that Goku's body is at its limit and he won't be able to withstand Rumshi's powerful attacks anymore. Only a miracle will help Goku now. Even with his body being taken over by violent tremors, Goku begins to exert himself to move at least one of his arms, using all his strength for it. Come on, move! He thinks, almost desperate. Rumshi starts to raise his ki while concentrating a large amount of energy in his hands. After doing this, he advances to attack. Vegeta is thrown onto an inhospitable planet by an attack from Beerus, creating a crater in the ground with his own body. Beerus, floating above the planet, forms a gigantic destruction energy sphere and then throws it at Vegeta. Vegeta doesn't have time to dodge, only to get up and hold the energy with his remaining arm. But when Vegeta holds the energy sphere, Beerus raises his ki, making the sphere double in size. Darn it, Vegeta shouts, as he has to multiply his effort to keep holding the attack. With no option, Vegeta also raises his power, and then he releases energy from his hand, pushing the sphere back towards Beerus. But Beerus raises his ki again, stopping the advance of Vegeta's energy, and then increasing his power even more, pushing back Vegeta's energy. Pressured by Beerus' power, Vegeta falls on one knee. Curse it, I won't be able to do it this way. Again, Beerus raises his ki, and now Vegeta's energy retreats abruptly with the power of the God of Destruction of Universe 7 approaching at full speed, an attack that Vegeta recognizes as having the potential to kill him. Seeing that he has no other choice, Vegeta begins to raise his power in a much more abrupt way, and then he stands up. He reveals his final transformation. Once the Shinken form appears, things change completely, and the energy of the Prince of Saiyans, which was rapidly retreating in front of the God of Destruction of Universe 7, now completely overwhelms Beerus' power. Despite his efforts to maintain the contest, the inevitable happens, and Beerus is completely engulfed by Vegeta's energy, being completely disintegrated in the process. After completely destroying his opponent, Vegeta undoes his transformation while falling back on the ground, sweating profusely and panting heavily. Seeing what just happened, and Zeno starts jumping for joy on his throne, celebrating Vegeta's victory. Daishinken lets out a sigh of relief. However, he maintains a serious expression, knowing that things are not as simple as they seem. Lying on the ground, Vegeta thinks, "I wish I had avoided using my Shinken transformation at all costs, since to use this transformation I need to elevate my entire body and senses to the maximum, transcending my limits. I may have won the fight, but surely the biggest advantage after all this belongs to Cumber." Getting up, Vegeta assumes the instant transmission stance. Well, now it's time to end all of this once and for all. In his castle, Cumber is sitting on his throne when he sees the visitor arrive, and then he says, well, who would have thought it would be you who would show up here? I would say that given the recent circumstances, this result was somewhat unexpected. The unexpected visitor reveals himself after arriving with the instant transmission, and this visitor is Goku. Zeno is very surprised to see this. Wow, Goku made it at the last moment, right? Daishinken agrees and says that Goku was very clever. At the moment Rumshi came to attack Goku with all his power, even almost completely paralyzed by the battle roar of the Hakaishin of Universe 10, Goku managed to move one of his arms a bit and grab a Senzu bean. And then by eating the Senzu, he recovered completely and paralyzed Rumshi by trapping the elephant god with a layer of his energy. Sorry buddy, but I had to use this. Goku says, when I did that teleportation, it wasn't just to wait for the effects of your battle roar to pass. I went to the Korin Tower on planet Earth and got some Senzu beans. I didn't use them before because I wanted to save them for a critical moment against Cumber, but you left me no choice. Goku points his hand at Rumshi, concentrating a great deal of power, and then he says, now it's time to free you from this slavery. Sorry for this. I'll try to resurrect you and the others later. With a single energy shot, Goku completely disintegrates Rumshi's body, which had no way to defend himself against his attack. After doing this, he teleports and goes to Cumber. Cumber begins to laugh upon seeing Goku before him and comments that he risked a lot facing Rumshi in that state, even though he could have eaten the Senzu bean and ended the fight quickly. Goku says that as he told Rumshi he wanted to save the Senzu beans for another critical moment. Also, he feels like he cheated against Vegeta by using it, but after he sensed what was happening, he realized that Vegeta wouldn't be able to come face Cumber. After Vegeta finished destroying Beerus, he even assumed the instant transmission stance to go to Cumber. But at the last moment, someone reached him. That someone is completely weird being with 4 arms, long hair, and wearing the attire of a god of destruction. This being emanates an extremely dense aura of destruction energy, and his power is utterly frightening. What is this now? Vegeta wonders, simultaneously surprised by that sudden appearance and frightened by the sinister power that this guy is showing. Goku tells Cumber that he felt Beerus' power disappear, and that Vegeta would have won the contest, but then he felt a very strange energy approaching Vegeta, and realized that whatever it is, it won't be something Vegeta will get rid of quickly. So he doesn't feel guilty about using the Senzu bean. After explaining his reason, Goku asks Cumber what this creature that approached Vegeta is, and Cumber says that, in fact, he doesn't know either. He is as surprised as Goku and Vegeta. Another person who also doesn't know what's happening is Zeno, who asks Daishinken who this guy who appeared is. Daishinken, knowing what's going on, says that Vegeta has a very big problem. A problem that may be bigger than Cumber himself. In Universe 7 is the home planet of the evil Saiyans, named Planet Cumber, whose king terrifies even the supreme god of the multiverse. At the center of this planet is the king's castle, and in the main hall of this castle, Goku faces the Majesty. Cumber, the God Slayer, is seated on his throne, while old Goku stands before him. Cumber rises and says, well, you've dealt with my bodyguards and reached me, so allow the great Cumber to grant you an audience. Cumber propels his own body toward Goku. The King of Saiyans comes with a punch, and Goku responds with a punch too. The impact of the fists of the two Saiyans causes a massive shockwave that simply shatters the great castle of King Cumber, sending the fortified structure flying into pieces through the air. In the center of the castle debris, Goku and Cumber remain with their fists in shock, neither retreating nor advancing an inch. Cumber, you've caused great terror in this universe and others. Today your reign of terror will come to an end, Goku vows. Let's see, Cumber responds. Vegeta has just noticed someone approaching him. This someone is a completely bizarre being with 4 arms, long hair, and wearing the attire of a god of destruction. This being exudes an extremely dense aura of destruction, and his power is utterly terrifying. What's this now? Vegeta wonders, simultaneously surprised by this sudden appearance and frightened by the sinister power this guy is showing. Vegeta knows all the gods of destruction, but has never heard of this guy, and wonders where this peculiar creature came from. The mysterious man stares at him with a murderous look. He smiles in a morbid way, making Vegeta realize that his bloodlust is unbelievable. While facing this opponent, he thinks, I thought Cumber seemed like a crazy killer, but this guy's bloodlust is even greater, and the energy he emanates is so chaotic and destructive that I've never seen it, even among the gods of destruction. The enemy advances in a sudden attack. Vegeta sees the attack coming but simply can't react. He thinks about retreating, but the man grabs his arm to prevent a retreat, and then delivers an extremely powerful punch to Vegeta's chest. That punch is so strong that it generates an absolutely monstrous impact wave that simply cracks the walls of reality. Internally injured by the impact of that blow, Vegeta begins to bleed. Blood comes out of his nose, mouth, eyes, and ears all at once. How is this possible? This guy's strength is absolutely monstrous. The Saiyan god of destruction thinks, completely shocked. But now that Vegeta has received a blow from this guy, he has managed to feel his energy a little better and recognizes him. It can't be, he thinks. In the palace of the Almighty, Daishinken tells Zeno who this mysterious creature is. This is Iwan. The Grand Minister says, Iwan, the god of destruction of Universe 1? Zeno asks, completely surprised and confused. Daishinken confirms and says that, in fact, this is Iwan's original appearance, a form that has not been shown for millions of years, a form that he simply hid from everyone all this time because he despises it. Lord Zeno, do you remember how the idea of creating the gods of destruction came about? Daishinken asks. Zeno says no, as it has been a long time since that happened. Daishinken recalls the entire story for Zeno, reminding him that initially the universes were complete chaos, as everything was very new, and there was no divine hierarchy to maintain balance. Among all the universes, the worst was undoubtedly Universe 1, completely consumed by wars and violence. It was an imbalanced universe where terror and chaos reigned. In this universe, a warrior was born, who was as powerful as he was crazy. Driven by madness and the trauma of war, he went mad and decided to destroy all sources of war in his universe. Where there was war and chaos, this man was there to eliminate the instigators of disorder. His desire to destroy these chaos-causing was so intense that he unconsciously developed a technique that obliterated his targets without a trace. This technique was later called Hakai. But this madness had an effect, as over the years with the destruction of chaos instigators, Universe 1 became safe, and transformed from the most chaotic among the universes to the most balanced. Daishinken had the idea to make Iwan a god of Universe 1, a deity whose role was to destroy anything that disturbed the balance of the universe. However, as he was an untamed beast, it took a lot of work to help him control himself and his powers, and an angel was assigned to serve as a tutor. After all the destruction Iwan caused, it was necessary to create new things, or else Universe 1 would be a vast emptiness. Thus, the idea of creating a god of destruction, the Supreme Kai, emerged. This experiment worked well in Universe 1, so they decided to do the same in other universes, giving rise to the gods of destruction, Supreme Kais, and angel tutors. It was all thanks to Iwan, the first god of destruction. Vegeta flies towards Iwan and lands a punch on his chest, but Vegeta's hand hurts much more than Iwan's chest. Iwan retaliates with a low side punch that crushes Vegeta's ribs, causing him to scream as he recoils, feeling his bones being crushed inside his body. Seeing no effect from physical attacks, Vegeta resorts to energy attacks, launching a point-blank power wave that hits Iwan directly. But he remains motionless, acting as if the attack is nothing. Seeing his indifference to his attacks, Vegeta is completely astonished. While watching in amazement at what is happening, Zeno tells Daishinken that he still doesn't quite understand why Iwan has two such different appearances. Daishinken explains that Iwan has two very distinct personalities. Internally, he was a great pacifist, someone who, born in such a chaotic universe and having suffered greatly for it, desired peace and tranquility above all else. However, his desire for peace drove him mad, and he began to seek this peace by destroying all the chaos he saw. To do this, he had to surrender to another side of his personality, a dark and brutal side. In simple terms, there were two Iwans, the peaceful Iwan who values peace and tranquility, and the demonic Iwan who destroys without any mercy everything he considers against peace. When Iwan became a god of destruction, the prevailing side was his beastly side. But with the help of his angel tutor, he managed to bring out his good side, which remained in control all these years. However, after being defeated by Vegeta, Iwan unconsciously must have understood that his good side would not be strong enough to deal with this evil, so his bestial side returned to control. Zeno argues that Vegeta is not the bad side of the story since he's fighting against Cumber, who is causing the chaos. It is Iwan who is on the wrong side and dominated by the energy of chaos. Shinken says that this is true but explains that obviously Iwan is not aware of what is happening and his mind is completely warped. In his mind, Vegeta is the evil that must be fought, not him. After creating a huge globe formed by the energy of destruction, Vegeta launches this power against Iwan, who, while advancing towards him, points one of his hands and explodes this globe with his Hakai, and then reaches Vegeta with a very powerful punch in the abdomen, simply penetrating the Saiyan's body with his hand. In a desperate act, Vegeta reacts by opening his mouth to launch a wave of energy point blank at Iwan's face. But he behaves as if it were nothing and simply covers Vegeta's mouth with one of his hands and with one squeeze breaks his jaw. Zeno tells Daishinken that he had said that Beerus was the strongest among the gods of destruction, but the power that Iwan is displaying now is even greater than Beerus's. Much greater, in fact. Daishinken corrects Zeno, saying that he never claimed Beerus was the strongest among the gods. In reality, Beerus believed to be the strongest, and other gods believed that too, such as Quaitella, who always competed against him for the title of strongest. But the truth is that all this time, none of them even came close to Iwan, who kept his real power hidden away. Iwan never cared to be recognized as the strongest among the gods, as he always repudiated the evil side present in his body. In summary, the one Vegeta is facing now is the first god of destruction, and also the most powerful Hakaishin of all time. After receiving a punch from Iwan, Vegeta had his abdomen pierced by the hand of the God of Universe 1. While the enemy's hand is embedded in his body, Vegeta grabs him by the forearm and counterattacks with a headbutt. However, it is Vegeta's forehead that is injured, cracking completely after the impact with Iwan's face, with blood pouring abundantly from the wounds. Iwan pushes Vegeta away with a flick, causing him to spin several times through space. On planet Cumber, the battle is happening with frenetic intensity, with the two Saiyans exchanging numerous blows in the planet's sky. Due to the intensity of their battle, the sky is completely overcast and releasing intense electrical beams. Goku delivers a kick to Cumber's face, who skillfully dodges and tries to attack with an energy blast. But Goku manages to avoid it by kicking Cumber's hand in another direction. After hitting the opponent's hand, Goku stretches and points the same foot at his face to release a wave of energy. However, Cumber dodges by throwing his head backward and downward. Afterward, Cumber grabs Goku's foot, spins him several times, and throws him from the sky to the ground. However, Goku lands on the ground, performing a series of acrobatics that reduce the impact of his fall, allowing him to land safely. Goku praises Cumber, saying that he is really using Ultra Instinct very well, despite having learned it a short time ago. But their attention is drawn to something else, Iwan's power, even though he is universes away. Cumber is impressed by Iwan's immense power until now and complains that in their fight, the God of Universe 1 did not come close to using such power. But upon further reflection, Cumber says he is grateful for that, because if Iwan had used all that power when they fought, he wouldn't have had a chance of winning. Goku remains silent as he feels the monstrous power of the God of Universe 1. Cumber notices great concern in him and asks if Goku is worried about Vegeta. Cumber is right. Goku is very worried about Vegeta, as he senses his ki diminishing rapidly. Deciding what to do, Goku apologizes to Cumber and then uses instant transmission. Vegeta is floating in space, completely motionless. Damn! I didn't expect that this damn guy could be so strong. I don't stand a chance of winning in the state I'm in now. Iwan extends his hand toward Vegeta and fires a small spear of destruction power at him. Looking at that attack coming his way, Vegeta recognizes that it is enough power to kill him, so he closes his eyes to await his death. But then Goku appears and teleports Vegeta away with instant transmission, saving him. Goku takes them both to some empty planet, and on this planet he gives a Senzu bean to Vegeta, explaining that when he went to the Korin Tower, he took 2 Senzus, one for each of them, and he thought it would be the fairest thing to do. After eating the bean, Vegeta is completely recovered, but he reprimands Goku for interfering in his fight and also feels a bit embarrassed about using a Senzu bean. Goku says it was either that or Vegeta would die, so he preferred to intervene. Moreover, since he had faced so many opponents, it would be unfair to fight against the guy without being completely healed, so it's not cheating. Vegeta finds himself forced to agree, acknowledging that Iwan is a much more powerful opponent than he ever imagined, and there was no possibility of fighting him in such a wounded state. Goku agrees, stating that at least he is also fully recovered to face Cumber, which will be absolutely necessary. Even in this dramatic situation, Vegeta lets a smile escape and tells Goku that he never imagined they would encounter opponents this strong, which moves him emotionally. Goku also smiles and admits he feels the same way. They realize that Iwan is already approaching that planet, flying at an incredible speed. Goku says he will go back to Cumber and wishes good luck to Vegeta, who does the same. Goku departs using instant transmission. Without waiting for Ivan's arrival, Vegeta flies towards him and collides with the body of the other Hakaishin, each stopping the other's movement and then both retracting. Vegeta notices that Ivan was a bit surprised by that, so with a defiant smile on his face, the Saiyan God says that things won't be so easy for Ivan now. Vegeta begins to elevate his ki, releasing an extremely powerful destruction energy aura that makes the space vacuum tremble. Looking at Ivan, he says he will show him the true power of Vegeta, the god of destruction. He advances against Ivan, surprising him with his speed and landing an elbow right in the middle of the face. Next comes a sequence of punches to the face of the god of Universe 1, who receives all the blows without any reaction. What do you think about that, huh? It's not so easy when I'm not on the brink of death, is it? Vegeta asks while continuously hitting his opponent. To finish the sequence, Vegeta closes one of his hands with all his strength while accumulating a large amount of destruction power, and then hits Ivan squarely in the face with a punch that, at the same time as it hits the enemy, creates a massive explosion right in his face. Receiving this extremely powerful blow, Ivan is thrown far away at a speed that surpasses the speed of light by thousands of times. At an equal speed, Vegeta pursues the adversary, cutting through space behind his opponent while gaining momentum for another blow and concentrating his destruction power in another hand. Ivan's forced displacement speed decreases, but not Vegeta's, who comes at him with a punch at least 100 times more powerful than the last. However, when he delivers the blow, he is held by Ivan, who joins his four hands in front of his body to block the punch. Upon hitting his hands, it releases an absolutely gigantic shockwave at the same time as an absurd amount of destruction energy that spreads around. The reality walls of that universe are completely shattered, almost breaking apart. Damn! Did this damn guy manage to hold that? Vegeta wonders, impressed, while his hand is held by Ivan. Keeping one of his hands holding Vegeta's punch, Ivan uses the other three to deliver a sequence of punches to him, hitting Vegeta all over his body. Finally, he finishes with a triple punch with all three hands to Vegeta's abdomen, pushing him away. After pushing Vegeta away with his triple punch, Ivan joins his four hands to launch a quadruple energy beam, which, when Vegeta sees it coming, responds with an energy torrent that collides with Ivan's power. But Ivan's attack is superior and carries back Vegeta's energy until it reaches him. Vegeta escapes before being hit and then advances towards Ivan, who launches several energy balls from his four hands, which the Saiyan has to dodge while continuing to advance. When he reaches Ivan, he throws a punch, but the blow is blocked by two of his arms, while the other two hit a double energy burst in Vegeta's abdomen from below, pushing him away again. And before Vegeta could recover, Ivan pursues and reaches him with a flying punch right in the middle of the chest, hitting the Saiyan with force. It's not possible. Even though I'm completely recovered, he's still stronger. Vegeta observes in thought, completely surprised. On planet Cumber, the battle had also resumed. Goku and Cumber exchange blows in the sky, with each trying to hit the other, but having their attacks thwarted by the excellent defensive capabilities of Ultra Instinct. Amidst the various exchanged blows, Goku delivers a knee strike at the same time that Cumber delivers an elbow strike. Knee and elbow collide while releasing a strong electric current caused by the force of impact and the clash of the energies of the two. The result is a small impact explosion that pushes Goku and Cumber away from each other. Cumber takes advantage of the distance to unleash several energy spheres against Goku, who, after dodging them, responds with an energy beam released from one of his hands, which Cumber dodges, and then counterattacks with an energy claw, which Goku also avoids. After dodging, Goku advances, reaching Cumber in a fraction of a second with a sequence of attacks that Cumber dodges while retreating and defending. No longer wanting to retreat, Cumber dodges down, going to the ground, but is pursued by Goku, who approaches with a stomp that the Saiyan King avoids with a jump. After distancing himself with this jump, he points his two hands up and releases a sequence of energy beams that rise to the sky and then return to the ground, falling towards Goku like a rain of attacks. Goku moves with great speed and skill to escape the attacks, allowing the energy explosions to hit only the ground. After that, he teleports in front of Cumber, trying to surprise him with a kick, which Cumber defends with his forearm and then tries to counter with a punch. However, Goku dribbles the evil Saiyan by going to his back and attempts a point-blank energy shot from behind his head, hitting and stunning him. But despite receiving the shot, Cumber reacts immediately by turning around while trying to hit Goku with a kick. However, Goku slides under Cumber's leg to pass beneath it, goes back to his back, and attacks with another point-blank energy attack, this time hitting Cumber's supporting leg behind the knee and knocking him on his back. After knocking down Cumber, Goku jumps and from above points both his hands and shoots an energy barrage that sinks Cumber into the ground to the point of him passing through the other side of the planet. After reaching the other side of the planet, Cumber is already greeted by Goku, who arrived there first with instant transmission. When Cumber comes out of the ground, Goku is already in the sky waiting for him with a concentrated Kamehameha. While concentrating energy, he says to Cumber, "Considering the time and the way you learned this ability, you're very good at using Ultra Instinct. I have to admit that. But it can't compare to someone who's been perfecting this for years." Goku fires the Kamehameha, creating a massive explosion on the planet that can be seen from space. But the attack was useless since Cumber defended himself with an energy shield, and not only that, he has just transformed into a Super Saiyan. "So you can transform into a Super Saiyan too?" Goku asks, as he hadn't seen Cumber use this transformation before. The evil Saiyan answers the question by saying the following, "Oh yes, and in fact I don't stop here." After saying this, Cumber concentrates even more of his power, and in a few seconds he shocks Goku by transforming into Super Saiyan 3. "Get ready, Son Goku, because it's only now that you're going to see my true power," the God Slayer says. Vegeta and Iwan are in a frantic exchange of attacks, fighting at such an incredible speed that they unleash thousands of attacks against each other every second. Despite his efforts, Vegeta is the one who's faring worse, receiving much more attacks than his opponent. Part of this disadvantage is due to Iwan's 2 extra arms, but the main cause of his disadvantage is the power of the other Hakaishin, which is simply superior to his. There comes a moment when Iwan's disadvantage is completely noticeable, with the God of Universe 1 hitting non-stop attacks, while Vegeta can only shrink in a failed attempt at defense. Receiving a rain of punches from the opponent, Vegeta reacts by releasing his energy in a way that pushes Iwan away. After doing this, he launches an energy attack against the enemy, but Iwan is quick to respond, launching an even greater wave of power that simply overwhelms Vegeta's attack and carries it back to him. "Damn, I didn't want to use this, but there's no other way." Suddenly, Iwan's attack, which was advancing rapidly against Vegeta's attack, begins to be completely swept away by the Saiyan's energy, to the point where Iwan needs to dodge to avoid being completely engulfed by the power of the other God of Destruction. After dodging the attack, he looks at Vegeta and now understands what happened. Vegeta finally showed his final form, the Shinken form. Displaying his most powerful transformation, the Prince of Saiyan says, "I'm tired of this game. Now I'm going to destroy you mercilessly." Goku blocks an attack from Cumber in Super Saiyan 3. However, the evil Saiyan's strength is so monstrous that it shatters Goku's block, throwing him with all force against the planet's surface. The impact of the collision is enormous, with Goku creating a massive crater in the ground that can be seen even from outside the planet. After receiving this impact, Goku ends up coughing up a handful of blood while acknowledging Cumber's incredible strength. "Your power is extraordinary, I must admit," he says to the other Saiyan. "And I still have so much more to show," Cumber responds. "But it's not just me who has more to show. You do too." While getting up, Goku admits, "That's true. To be honest, I was avoiding using this and tried to hold back until I see your maximum power. But you're really amazing, Cumber, and you've exceeded my expectations. I have no choice." Goku closes his eyes as he begins to release a very peculiar energy, which Cumber recognizes as similar to the energy Vegeta showed to his clone, albeit with some differences. In an instant, Goku's form changes. His final form is finally revealed. While showing this to Cumber, he says, "Cumber, get ready, because now you're going to see the real face of my power." After witnessing this transformation, Cumber becomes very intrigued and says, "This transformation reminds me a bit of the one Vegeta showed against my clone, but with some differences." The evil Saiyan remarks, "This is Shinken, the transformation that represents transcending limits." Goku says, "Now that I'm using this form, you can be sure that my abilities have evolved to a transcendental level." Despite these words, Cumber is not intimidated and begins to release the energy of his Super Saiyan 3 with intensity, causing the yellow and black aura surrounded by electricity to grow even more, while the entire planet Cumber trembles. Let's see how this so-called transcendental ability fares against my overwhelming power. Cumber charges at Goku with full force, delivering a direct punch to his face. But to his surprise, Goku stops his attack with just one finger. "What?" the God Slayer exclaims in shock. However, he doesn't give up. Disappearing from Goku's front, Cumber reappears next to him, attempting a kick. But it is easily stopped by hitting Goku's forearm, who clearly doesn't need much effort to defend himself. Cumber retreats, and extending his 2 hands, he unleashes a wave of energy against his opponent, who surprisingly deflects the attack with a simple slap, showing little effort. "This can't be happening," Cumber shouts, completely astonished. "But it is," Goku responds, appearing in front of Cumber in the blink of an eye, landing a precise punch in the Saiyan's stomach, causing him to widen his eyes as blood escapes from his mouth. Groaning in pain, Cumber recoils with his body hunched and hands over the region where Goku struck. Iwan also retreats, moving away with his hands over his chest, which has evidently just been attacked. He distances himself from Vegeta, who, displaying his Shinken form, advances slowly, floating through the vacuum. As Vegeta approaches, Iwan shoots several energy balls at him, which hit Vegeta in sequence but dissolve upon hitting a thin layer of destruction energy that Vegeta generates around his body. Seeing that the smaller attacks weren't having any effect, Iwan resorted to a bigger attack, a huge wave of energy that, when it hits Vegeta, simply disappears into small luminous flakes that float through the void. It's useless, Vegeta says to his opponent. With this form that transcends the power of destruction, I will make everything you send against me disappear, and in the end it will be you who disappears. From his palace, Zeno watches all of this along with Daishinken and his bodyguards. He's very curious about this whole thing involving Shinken, and asks Daishinken to explain it better. Shinken is what we can call the higher stage. Daishinken begins to explain. The Grand Priest says that Shinken is a stage where a being has reached a transcendental understanding of his own power, where its abilities are developed to the limit. Someone who has achieved Shinken is a person who has fully understood their own body and spirit, as well as all their power. Daishinken also says that this is a very difficult stage to reach, and there are few people throughout the multiverse who have reached this stage of development. He finally concludes that to have reached this stage at this age, Goku and Vegeta must have trained intensely and must have had an excellent teacher, as all the other beings he knows who reach this level have millions of years of life. Zeno is completely impressed by this and says that Goku and Vegeta are amazing. Kumber tries multiple attacks against Goku, unleashing blows with his hands, elbows, feet, knees, head. He's using every possible weapon of his body, but nothing hits Goku, who dodges everything with surprising ease. There's a moment when Goku dodges one of Kumber's attacks, going behind him, and then, with an attack using two of his fingers, he hits a point on Kumber's spine that simply paralyzes him. Cursed! Kumber yells. Goku says that in his current state, his attacks are not only strong, but also extremely precise and impactful. Furthermore, all the defensive abilities of his Ultra Instinct are at their peak, which means Kumber won't be able to hit him unless he transcends his own limits significantly. After saying these things, Goku concentrates a considerable amount of power in one hand to land a deadly attack on Kumber. But the God Slayer, in an act of fury and desperation, releases a massive amount of energy, causing his Super Saiyan 3's golden and black aura to grow even more. This time also showing the red aura of his Kaioken increased 100 times. Faced with the force of this released energy, Goku is pushed back and realizes that Kumber has regained his movements. You bastard! If you think you're going to defeat the great Kumber so easily, you're very mistaken. The God Slayer shouts, furious. Goku, on the other hand, remains calm and patient, saying that Kumber can delay his defeat but not avoid it. While yelling for Goku to shut up, Kumber flies towards him, attempting a flying kick, but Goku with a gentle touch dodges Kumber's foot, letting him pass straight through. But Kumber stops in midair and returns with a punch, but Goku deflects the course of this punch as if it were nothing, letting him pass straight through and spinning in the air. Kumber returns even more furious with another punch, but Goku simply intercepts it, meeting Kumber with an elbow to the chest. An elbow so well placed that Kumber's heart simply stops beating for a second. But Kumber self-revives, elevating his power even further, exploding with energy, releasing the Super Saiyan 3 aura multiplied by 200 times through Kaioken. Curse be you, Son Goku! The King of Evil Saiyans roars in fury. Kumber attacks again, this time with a knee, which Goku easily holds with one hand. After that, he attempts an elbow strike, which Goku also effortlessly holds. Taking advantage of the proximity, Kumber tries to surprise Goku with a headbutt, but he is the one surprised when Goku intercepts the headbutt by thrusting two fingers into his eye. Kumber recoils in pain, hand over his wounded eye, blood spilling. But not even this stops the evil Saiyan. As he retreats, he fires a highly concentrated energy sphere at Goku. However, Goku, with incredible fluidity, grabs Kumber's energy sphere and smoothly hurls it back at him. Kumber is hit by his own energy, and a massive explosion occurs in the planet's sky. Tired of firing energy attacks at Vegeta, Iwan decides to advance with a punch. But when the punch lands, Vegeta doesn't even move. After calmly receiving Iwan's attack, Vegeta grabs his wrist and with a single squeeze crushes it. Iwan attempts another punch, but this time he doesn't even hit, as Vegeta holds his hand with his other hand and then crushes it with a single grip. After doing this, he lands a punch right to Iwan's chest, causing the first god of destruction to recoil while choking due to the crushing of his lungs. Iwan doesn't give up, and with his last good hands, he shoots two energy beams at Vegeta, but Vegeta holds each one with one hand. Then he releases his own energy from his hands, carrying Iwan's energy back to him and exploding directly in the other Hakaishin's body. The power of the explosion is enormous, making the entire universe tremble. After receiving this attack from Vegeta, Iwan remains paralyzed, his body covered in severe wounds. While observing his opponent like this, Vegeta says, "Your power is impressive, much greater than I expected, but even you cannot compare to the power of this superior form." However, to Vegeta's complete surprise, a light begins to shine on Iwan's body, and this light transmits an energy that the Saiyan God knows very well. What? What does this mean? Vegeta wonders, completely disbelieving in what he is seeing. Iwan screams. The first God of Destruction scream is deafening, causing a wave of sonic impact to echo throughout the vacuum of that universe, and even Vegeta's body, filled with the superior energy of Shinken, shudders at that scream. Iwan is surrounded by a very peculiar energy, with the purple color of destruction energy, but at the same time it shines. After being surrounded by this energy, Iwan disperses it all at once, releasing a stream of force that even Vegeta has to make an effort not to be carried away. Now, Iwan shows a very distinctive transformation, a form that, feeling the emanating energy, Vegeta recognizes as a Shinken form. This can't be possible. This guy also has Shinken, Vegeta exclaims. In the sky of planet Cumber, Goku senses Iwan's energy, leaving him surprised and even frightened. What does this mean? Does the god of Universe 1 also possess Shinken? Goku wonders. On the planet's surface lies Cumber, fallen and already in his base form. He's heavily injured, indicating that he has endured powerful attacks from Goku. Cumber, looking up at the sky, sees Goku focused on something else, and this fills him with fury. "You wretch! Did you find me so insignificant that you think you can pay attention to something else while fighting me?" As Cumber questions Goku about this, several black rays start to emerge around his body, and the pieces of the ground beneath him began to detach and explode around him. This catches Goku's attention, who turns to Cumber again, asking what is happening. As he is surrounded by an extremely dense black energy, Cumber's hair begins to flutter, and the evil Saiyan screams with unbelievable intensity. Suddenly, a burst of black ki occurs, completely destroying planet Cumber. Amidst the debris, Cumber's new transformation can be seen. Goku stares at him in surprise, noting that the malevolence emanating from his ki is unprecedented. Cumber warns Goku to prepare, stating that he is about to feel the power of all the hatred and evil that a Saiyan can possess. For several seconds, Vegeta remains paralyzed and wide-eyed, looking at Iwan, who has just displayed a power he never imagined he would see. However, Vegeta needs to move when Iwan speeds towards him, delivering a powerful knee that Vegeta reflexively counters in the same way. The knees of the two gods of destruction collide, generating a devastating vibration throughout the universe, distorting space-time and sending them to another dimension, where everything is a blank space. The Saiyan Hakaishin decides to counterattack, unleashing a sequence of punches against Iwan, who, with his last two good arms, defends himself with a certain calmness, despite Vegeta truly exerting effort in these attacks. To Vegeta's surprise, Iwan simply regenerates his wrist and hand, crushed by him, and can now use all four arms to counterattack, forcing Vegeta to step back while struggling to maintain balance in the fight. Concentrating more force in one hand, Vegeta attempts a punch, which Iwan counters with a double punch, clashing two of his hands against Vegeta's hand. The impact of this clash shatters the walls of this reality, transporting them now to another dimension, where all that can be seen around is an empty space filled with lightning and thunder. As they exchange blows in this dimension, Vegeta and Iwan's own attacks generate intense electrical waves that extend far beyond them. With a clash of fists, they end up being pushed apart from each other, and Iwan seizes this distance to open his four arms simultaneously while unleashing various energy grenades from all his hands. They all move toward Vegeta in a way that surrounds him. Before being hit by this attack, Vegeta releases his destruction power in an energy dome that expands around him. When Iwan's attacks hit this dome, they generate a massive purple explosion that shakes the entire reality, even causing the incessant lightning in the place to cease. Afterward, Vegeta moves toward Iwan while firing several energy spheres at him. Iwan defends himself by counterattacking, shooting an equal number of spears that collide with Vegeta's, creating numerous explosions along the path between them. Vegeta reaches Iwan with a punch, but he disappears in front of the Saiyan Hakaishin and reappears below him, extending his four hands against Vegeta and releasing a massive wave of power that would completely engulf the Saiyan, but Vegeta skillfully dodges to the side to escape. Following this, Vegeta descends to Iwan with a kick, which the first Hakaishin blocks with his four arms, and then responds with a kick that, despite Vegeta blocking, pushes him away. Afterward, Iwan appears at high speed behind Vegeta, surprising him and grabbing the Saiyan God from behind in a crushing embrace. Vegeta begins to release his energy in an attempt to make Iwan let go. but the enemy is persistent and crushes Vegeta even harder. However, Vegeta reacts differently, taking advantage of the proximity to touch the palm of his hand to Iwan's abdomen and releasing an energy blade that simply pierces him. Gravely pierced by Vegeta's ki blade, Iwan releases him and recoils. But to Vegeta's surprise, Iwan holds back the punch he threw immediately afterwards, ignoring the wound he just received, and counterattacking with a very strong kick to the Saiyan's neck. Zeno tells Daishinken that he thought with this thing called Shinken, Vegeta could defeat Iwan, but he seems to have the same thing. Daishinken says that this also surprised him, as he didn't know Iwan could use Shinken too. This makes him even more unique among the gods of destruction. However, the Grand Minister says that it shouldn't surprise them so much, since being the first god of destruction and the creator of Hakai, it was expected that Iwan would be the first to reach the deepest understanding of this ability and himself. Zeno asks if he still thinks Vegeta can win. Daishinken says they'll have to wait and see. However, everything is leading to the belief that Iwan's Shinken is even more well-developed than Vegeta's, which is a significant problem. In the wreckage of what was once planet Cumber, Goku continues to observe the new form of the King of Evil Saiyans and asks Cumber what transformation this is. Cumber attacks. Goku dodges the blow from the evil Saiyan and immediately counterattacks, which is also defended. Then an exchange of blows begins between the two. As they exchange attacks, Cumber answers the previously asked questions, explaining that while Goku and Vegeta were facing all the gods of destruction, his evil energy consuming the Hakaishins was absorbing all the fury released by the destroyers, turning it into power. At a moment in the exchange of blows, Goku dodges a low kick from Cumber by jumping over it and hits his chest with both feet, pushing the evil Saiyan away. After doing this, he teleports to Cumber's back and attempts an attack, which the God Slayer turns to defend, and then they resume their exchange of blows. Cumber explains that after the battle against Piccolo, the Namekian god, he lost a considerable part of his power, as he confined a large portion of his energy in a dimension that was later completely destroyed. Moreover, he couldn't absorb Piccolo's powers and abilities because Piccolo self-destructed. In summary, despite obtaining the Dragon Balls, he suffered a significant loss in that fight and needed to recover somehow. Cumber lands a kick that, despite Goku's defense, pushes him away. Meanwhile, he completes his explanation saying that thanks to the battle between Goku and Vegeta against the gods of destruction, he was able to recover all the lost power and even surpass his own limits, acquiring this new transformation. He creates a giant globe of black energy and hurls it at Goku, who responds to this attack with a Kamehameha. The collision of the attacks generates an explosion that shakes the entire Universe 7. From the hell, King Kai and King Yema are greatly alarmed when they feel the entire world tremble. King Yema asks what's happening, and King Kai says that at this rate, Goku and Cumber will soon destroy the entire universe. Goku and Cumber fly towards each other with a punch, and upon colliding, they simply distort the reality around them, going from the vacuum of space straight to a planet. Goku recognizes this planet, but he doesn't have time to think about it, as he immediately needs to defend against Cumber's kick, which hits his block head-on and creates a very large shockwave. The planet they are on is the same as the Three-Eyed Race, where one of the cities trembles, and a large structure is about to fall on a child walking with the mother. However, Tien appears and holds the construction using his super strength, ensuring the safety of the mother and her child. After doing this, Tien in thought reveals that he has never felt such a monstrous impact, and understands that within a few impacts like this, the planet would be completely shattered. While exchanging several swift blows against Cumber in the sky of the planet, Goku realizes that the place won't withstand this battle. In a moment when Cumber defends one of his punches, Goku teleports them both away. They go to the other world. The two reappear above the palace of King Yema, exchanging insanely fast and strong blows. They move at extremely high speed, circling the region while leaving behind several monstrous impact waves. These waves not only destroy parts of the palace, but also throw away the various ogres and souls that were in that place. There is a moment when Cumber lands a kick that Goku blocks, but he's thrown from the sky towards the palace, piercing the roof and landing on his feet inside the hall. Inside the palace, Goku notices the various scared souls and ogres, and one of the ogres asks him to leave, because if they continue fighting there, they will kill everyone. Cumber enters the palace through the roof and comes towards Goku to attack, but Goku manages to evade his attack and by touching the enemy, teleports them both away. In hell, King Kai, who was observing everything, just informed King Yema that they left his castle, which greatly relieves him, but the relief lasts for a second when Goku and Cumber appear in hell. When King Kai and King Yema see the two there, they scream in despair. Goku and Cumber clash blows, and the pressure from the impact is so strong that it throws the two gods away and makes them roll on the ground. Throughout the multiverse, a beam of light travels at a transcendental speed, passing through all existing universes, leaving a trail of destruction. The ones responsible for this are Vegeta and Iwan, the two most powerful gods of destruction, who fight intensely as they traverse all universes, turning the entire multiverse into a short space for their battle, reaching extraordinary proportions. Their next stop is Universe 9, which has entire galaxies destroyed due to the intensity of their battle. The collision of energy attacks causes cosmic-scale explosions, and extremely intense vibrations occur with the collisions of blows. The fabric of reality is tearing, dimensional barriers are broken, as various worlds in the universe begin to merge. They unleash thousands of blows per second, fighting at a frenetic intensity with an incredible rhythm, as if they were simply tireless. Their bodies already accumulate wounds, but Vegeta's body accumulates more. While pressed by Iwan's attacks, Vegeta acknowledges that his power is on a level beyond. A punch from Iwan forcefully enters his chest, completely destroying the fabric of reality and transporting them to another dimension. Despite the power of that punch and the pain it causes in his body, Vegeta does not let himself be shaken. He uses the blood accumulating in his mouth due to the internal injury and spits into Iwan's eyes, temporarily blinding him and finding an opportunity to deliver an equally powerful punch to Iwan's face, also breaking the barriers of that dimension and entering another. But Iwan resists very well despite the power of that punch and holds Vegeta's next punch to simply pierce his abdomen with another. Cursed! It can't be! Vegeta thinks in shock as he feels the excruciating pain of the enemy's hand invading his body. Equally shocked when this happens is Zeno, who asks Daishinken what will become of Vegeta now. Daishinken does not respond to Zeno, he simply remains silent with a very thoughtful expression. Goku and Cumber exchange blows at an incredibly high speed, making the entire hell tremble. King Kai screams in despair, saying they are completely screwed. Cumber launches an energy attack against Goku, which he dodges, but after dodging the energy, Goku sees that it is heading towards King Yema and King Kai, who scream in despair as death approaches them. Goku then teleports in front of them and kicks Cumber's energy away from there. Relieved, both of them express their gratitude. King Kai tells Goku that he needs to find a way to end the fight quickly because the universe will no longer be able to withstand that combat. Goku tells him that he knows that, and that, in fact, the universe should have been destroyed long ago due to the power level he and Cumber are using in this fight. However, it has not been destroyed yet because he is doing his best to contain the destructive shock of his and Cumber's attacks. However, there is a limit to what he can do since Cumber himself does not care about the consequences of his attacks. King Yema asks Goku if he cannot just end this fight already. Goku says no, because as the fight progresses, Cumber gets used to his fighting style, and also his evil energy is becoming more powerful with chaos. But after thinking for a bit, Goku looks at King Kai and says he has an idea to defeat Cumber. Obviously, King Kai and King Yema are very intrigued by this. "What's the matter, Goku? Aren't you coming back to fight?" Cumber shouts, emanating his evil power intensely. "Fine. If you won't come to me, I'll come to you." Hungry for more blood and violence, Cumber goes toward Goku, who with a smile on his face takes his combat stance. After burying his hand in Vegeta's abdomen, Iwan withdraws it and then lands a kick that pushes him away. After doing this, he points his four hands upwards and creates a gigantic sphere formed by pure destruction energy, and then he launches this attack in Vegeta's direction. "Darn, what monstrous power!" Vegeta exclaims, widening his eyes, terrified by what is coming his way. "Oh no, if it continues like this, Vegeta will lose," Zeno says, very tense. Equally tense is Daishinken, who after thinking for a while says, "There's no other way. It seems I'll need to intervene." Both Zeno and his bodyguards are completely surprised when they hear this. Cumber goes towards Goku, who with a smile on his face takes his combat stance. "Thank you, King Kai." Goku thanks the Guardian of the North Galaxy, who obviously does not understand the reason. Goku flies towards Cumber, and the moment they collide, he teleports, taking them both away. Goku and Cumber return to the vacuum of space in Universe 7, and as soon as they reappear there, they resume exchanging blows. But while exchanging these blows with Cumber, Goku starts to focus on something else. "Hey, citizens from all over the universe! Can you hear me?" Goku asks while sending a telepathic message. On Earth, Krillin, Young Master Roshi, and God Yamcha are gathered in Kami's lookout. They are extremely worried because they know that a battle between Goku and Cumber is happening, and the universe is shaking a lot due to this battle, including Earth, which is suffering from various natural disasters. The three of them would like to do something about it, but they cannot simply leave the planet to go help. and actually even if they could go to Goku and Cumber, they know that it is a battle that is far beyond their level. But at that moment, their conversation is interrupted when they receive this telepathic message from Goku. Tien and the people on his planet are also receiving this telepathic message. They are worried as the Earthlings because their home planet is going through various calamities due to the ongoing fight. In addition to the people on Earth and Tien's home planet, all living beings throughout the universe are hearing Goku's telepathic message. While exchanging blows with Cumber, Goku says, "I know that many of you have suffered at the hands of the terrible Saiyan warriors, or at least heard of the atrocities they have committed throughout the universe. I know that many of you suffer because of the evil of the Saiyans, or live in fear of one day suffering at the hands of these wicked people. But know that at this moment I am fighting against their leader, the man responsible for corrupting the hearts of the Saiyans and leading them in these campaigns of evil. If you want to do something for yourselves and for the entire universe, give me your energy now, and I will use your power to destroy this enemy." While Goku speaks these words, he uses the superior telepathic power of Shinken to convey not only his thoughts, but also his feelings. In this way, everyone who hears his words immediately feels that Goku's intentions are good and believes in him. Tien extends his hands upwards with a smile on his face, and with all goodwill says, "Here, Goku, take my energy." In the same way, all those of the three-eyed race do the same. On Earth, Master Roshi, God Yamcha, and Krillin do the same, telling Goku to finish off that accursed Saiyan once and for all. But it's not just them. All the other Earthlings do the same, raising their hands and donating all the energy they can give. Goku's message is also heard in the other world, including Hell, where King Yemma and King Kai listen. King Kai immediately realizes that this ability is the Spirit Bomb, and wonders how the heck Goku knows how to use this ability of his. King Yemma says that this is not important now, and that they should also collaborate. King Kai and King Yemma also raise their hands, donating their energies. All the other inhabitants of the other world do the same, since they fear Cumber too. In a short time above Goku and Cumber, who continue exchanging blows with the same intensity, an energy sphere begins to accumulate. This energy does not come only from Tien's home planet or Earth, but from all living beings in the universe and the deceased. Goku ensures that his telepathic message was not heard by Cumber, so when he sees all that energy accumulating there, he doesn't understand what's happening. Cumber asks Goku what's going on there. Goku replies to him saying that today he will feel the weight of all the evil he has done. Even without understanding, Cumber knows that it's not good to let that happen. He flies toward the Spirit Bomb that is forming with the intention of destroying it, but Goku flies in front of him and pushes him away with a blow. Goku says he won't allow Cumber to destroy it, which irritates the evil Saiyan. Watching what's happening in Universe 7, Zeno becomes very excited. "Look, it seems like Goku has an ace up his sleeve." He made this comment to Daishinken, but looking at the Grand Priest, Zeno realizes that he's very focused on something else, the fight between Vegeta and Iwan. Iwan's energy sphere, containing an absolutely colossal power, goes toward Vegeta. "Darn, what monstrous power!" the Saiyan exclaims, wide-eyed and frightened by what is coming his way. When the energy sphere reaches him, Vegeta holds the attack, but he needs to take a monstrous effort to contain that power. "Darn, if I can't hold this, I'm over," Vegeta thinks as his veins and arteries become visible due to the titanic force he is exerting. When Iwan increases the force of the attack, the energy expands even more, and Vegeta begins to be overwhelmed. "I won't be able to hold this," he acknowledges. "The only way for me to get rid of this is to destroy it, but it can't be done carelessly, as if it explodes near me, I'll have serious problems." At this moment, Vegeta closes his eyes, trying to concentrate and calm himself as much as possible. While he does this, his body is covered by a layer of bright purple energy, representing the power of his Shinken surfacing. After that, Vegeta opens his eyes, and then his energy begins to simply invade Iwan's energy, with the globe of intense purple power starting to glow inside, only to disappear the next moment. After doing this, Vegeta starts to pant, a sign of exhaustion and relief. However, there is no time to be relieved, since Iwan does not give him a break and quickly reaches him to continue the fight. "This guy is tireless," Vegeta complains in his thoughts, but then his thoughts are interrupted when a voice calls in his mind. "Mr. Vegeta, focus on me." Vegeta recognizes this voice instantly. It's Daishinken. He asks what the angel wants, and Daishinken replies, "As an angel, I should not interfere in the natural course of things. However, I think I can tell you a story, right?" Vegeta doesn't understand what Daishinken means, and asks what he's talking about. Daishinken says he will casually tell him a story, and then Vegeta can do whatever he wants with that information. Vegeta begins to reason about it and realizes that he wants to help in some way, so he tells Daishinken to go ahead and say what he wants to say at once. Iwan presses Vegeta more and more, delivering fast, strong, precise blows, well synchronized with his forearms, leaving Vegeta at a disadvantage due to having two fewer limbs. Extremely powerful blows hit Vegeta, but despite this, he remains firm in the fight. Meanwhile, Daishinken begins to tell him Iwan's story, talking about how all the universes were in the past, especially Universe 1. Daishinken talks about the chaos that existed in Universe 1, and how Iwan gets up amid extremely violent wars, going mad because of it. He tells about how Iwan became an untamed beast thirsty for destroying everything he considered evil and chaotic, and how he accidentally created Hakai. Daishinken also talks about the process of containing this bestial Iwan to give way to a calmer Iwan, who has remained in control all this time. After hearing this story, Vegeta initially doesn't quite understand where Daishinken is going with all this. However, after thinking for a moment, a light bulb goes off in his mind, and then he smiles and thanks the Grand Priest. Vegeta and Iwan simultaneously unleash an energy barrage against each other. When these two powers collide, they simply shatter the barriers of the parallel dimension, bringing them back to the vacuum of space in Universe 9. After this happens, Vegeta focuses for a moment, apparently finding something he wants, and the Saiyan deity flies away at high speed, obviously being pursued by Iwan, who is thirsty for blood. The frenzied battle between Goku and Cumber continues. While releasing his evil power intensely in the form of an extremely dense aura of black energy, Cumber attacks Goku with everything he has. Still, Goku can deal with the attacks thanks to the extremely keen abilities of his Shinken form. As he continues attacking, Cumber shows great irritation and says that he now understands why Goku and Vegeta insisted on not using the Shinken against the gods of destruction despite all the difficulty. The fact that they did not use this ability prevented him from seeing and learning about the technique, and now it's making all the difference. Goku smiles and says that it was indeed worth it. He acknowledges that even in this short time, Cumber is gradually understanding his fighting style and reacting better. But if he had used the Shinken to fight against the gods, perhaps now Cumber would be completely adapted, which would be catastrophic. A punch from Goku forcefully hits Cumber in the middle of the face, infuriating him even more, and he releases his energy with a force that pushes Goku away. After doing this, he takes the opportunity to fly towards the spirit bomb that is forming to destroy it. Still, Goku is smarter, pointing his hand at Cumber, teleports him right in front of him, and lands a powerful punch straight to Cumber's face, sending him flying. But Goku's attack is not over. He extends his hand to Cumber, who is still moving, and uses his mental strength to stop the evil Saiyan. Then he brings Cumber towards him with all his psychic strength, and at the same time he advances with all his power towards the opponent, hitting an extremely powerful flying kick on his abdomen, creating a massive impact wave and making the entire universe vibrate, feeling this blow along with Cumber. After Goku lands this attack, the Godslayer recoils in agonizing pain. Goku then looks at the Spirit Bomb and sees that all the energy has finally arrived. He teleports beneath the Spirit Bomb, and touching his hands to it also grants his energy, making the technique incomparably larger, now emanating the bright energy of his Shinken. It's ready! Thanks everyone! Goku expresses his gratitude with a joyful smile. Looking at Cumber, he shouts, "Take this now!" He launches the Spirit Bomb. Despite the very strong pain he was feeling, Cumber reacts by creating a spear of evil power and launching it against the Spirit Bomb. The bright spear of pure power and the dark spear of evil power collide. "You bastard! Do you think I'll let myself be defeated so easily?" The King of Evil Saiyan shouts in fury. Goku is impressed by Cumber's response, surprised at all the power he still has. Vegeta cuts through the vacuum of space in Universe 9 at full speed, with Iwan on his tail firing several extremely powerful energy attacks at him. While fleeing, Vegeta dodges the attacks and also responds with some to delay Iwan. But he easily handles all of Vegeta's counterattacks. Vegeta realizes he's approaching a planet, and then he smiles. In an instant, he descends from space to the planet's surface, and Iwan does the same shortly afterwards. Facing Iwan, Vegeta smiles and says that this is where their fight will end. Iwan remains staring at him with a voracious expression, totally devoid of any logical discernment. Zeno becomes very curious to know what Vegeta is planning to do and asks Daishinken. Daishinken says he doesn't know either, but from what he could see of this man called Vegeta, he is a very intelligent person, so he surely has an ace up his sleeve. Iwan attacks and Vegeta does the same. They collide in the middle of the way and immediately Vegeta's defeat becomes evident, with Iwan carrying him across the planet and punishing his body with a series of ultra-fast and strong punches coming from his forearms. While being targeted by Iwan's blows, Vegeta does everything to defend himself and try to counterattack, but simply can't. Iwan finishes a sequence of blows with a kick that sends Vegeta crashing into a mountain, piercing it with his body, only stopping when he falls into a large lake on the planet. Vegeta doesn't take long to emerge from the lake, but as soon as he does, he is greeted by a punch from Iwan, reaching him with a direct attack to his chest. The force of the blow hits Vegeta's body, causing severe internal injuries to the lungs and heart of the Saiyan God, evidenced by vomiting a large amount of blood. However, Vegeta smiles. Grabbing Iwan's arm, he says, "Now I've got you." Vegeta grabs Iwan and goes to his back, and then he makes both of them lie in the air, facing the water of the lake. "Come on, Iwan, face your reality," Vegeta shouts. At first, Iwan struggles to break free from Vegeta's grip. However, when he sees his face reflected in the lake's water, he simply freezes. Iwan remains frozen, looking at his own face reflected in the water, with wide eyes indicating great shock. "Take a good look at your face. This is what you've become," Vegeta shouts. "You have become the embodiment of the pure chaos you so eagerly seek to destroy." Faced with the reality that Iwan seems to only now perceive, the first god of destruction begins to despair. He lets out a scream that echoes throughout this planet and beyond. The lake's waters begin to churn in a kind of small tsunami. The planet's skies darken, and lightning, thunder, and lightning bolts begin to appear. Gusts of wind start. In a few seconds, that planet enters an apocalyptic atmosphere. Iwan unleashes his power in a way that pushes Vegeta away, who begins to observe him from a distance. He finally seems to have awakened. The Saiyan God thinks while showing a relieved smile. "What is happening to Iwan?" Zeno asks Daishinken. The Grand Minister explains, saying that apparently Vegeta's plan was to make Iwan see himself so that he could see that. In the end, he was being consumed by the hatred and chaos he so despised. In the past, it was the chaos present in Universe 1 that drove Iwan crazy and made him desire destruction above all else. What Vegeta just did was show that this is consuming him himself, and now Iwan is freaking out because of it. After understanding what was happening, Zeno becomes very happy and says that Vegeta is a genius. However, Daishinken is not as excited and says that this plan could have a very serious consequence. Hearing this, Zeno undoes his joyful smile and asks what he means by that. Iwan begins to emanate extremely dense energy, with bright purple rays being released from his body as they extend to the surroundings. The planet they are on begins to shake and crack. What the hell is happening? Vegeta wonders, starting to worry. Iwan's body also begins to crack. Don't tell me this bastard intends to self-destruct with all this power. Vegeta begins to understand and becomes desperate about it. Daishinken explains to Zeno that in the state he is in, Iwan does not have a clear understanding of things, and his feelings are at an extreme level. Recognizing the evil he represents, he is really willing to destroy this evil with all the power he has. And if he releases all his power now in self-destruction, he will at least take half of all the universes with him. The cracks in Iwan's body intensify as light and destructive energy begin to leak from his body. Part of Cumber's evil black energy begins to be expelled, moving away from Iwan. But for him, this is not enough. He wants to completely destroy the face of pure evil he just contemplated. Damn, I'm going to have to contain this, Vegeta decides. Finally, it happens. Iwan self-destructs. Energy intensively leaks from his body, expanding uncontrollably as it destroys Iwan himself. Vegeta wastes no time and extends his hands. Iwan's energy, which would expand uncontrollably throughout the universe and others in a fraction of a second, had its expansion halted by the power of the Saiyan God, who needs to make a titanic effort to keep it that way, sweating abundantly as his veins and arteries become visible throughout his body. In Universe 7, the battle between the globe of pure massive energy and the globe of evil massive energy continues. On one side, Cumber is exerting maximum effort to repel the Spirit Bomb with his energy. On the other side, Goku is equally striving to make his Spirit Bomb advance against the evil Saiyan. Both simultaneously feel the extremely powerful energy of Iwan and are completely astonished. Goku is very concerned about Vegeta, not only for him, but also for all the mortals of the universes that he knows will be destroyed if Iwan's destructive energy spreads. Cumber laughs nonetheless, stating that Vegeta had very bad luck in having Iwan as his opponent. He claims that despite his greatly increased power, Iwan still manages to be superior. Goku asks why Cumber is so happy, mentioning that if Vegeta can contain this power, Universe 7 might be destroyed too. Cumber responds by saying that of course, he wouldn't want to die like that, but the idea of so many universes disappearing in an explosion of chaotic force is not so unpleasant to him. It would be a comfortable death. Goku tells Cumber that he's crazy but says he trusts Vegeta and he'll handle it. Goku then increases the force exerted on the Spirit Bomb, pushing even more against Cumber's energy, surprising him. At this moment, the globe of black energy is simply absorbed by the spirit bomb, and when the spear of evil energy enters the spirit bomb, it is simply dissolved inside, to Cumber's complete shock. After destroying the evil energy of the God Slayer, the spirit bomb heads towards him, and now Cumber has to try to stop that attack with his own hands, exerting a monstrous force to resist. "What happened?" Cumber asks. Goku responds saying that the pure energy of the spirit bomb, carrying the hope of all those in the universe that he and his minions mistreated so much, simply defeated his energy, laden with evil. After hearing this answer, Cumber fills with fury, but it's useless because it's becoming increasingly difficult for him to hold the spirit bomb. In Universe 9, Vegeta continues his efforts to save himself and all those universes that will be destroyed if Iwan's energy spreads. But despite Vegeta's effort, the overwhelming and extremely destructive power of the first god of destruction is slowly starting to expand. "I won't be able to hold this for much longer. I have to end this quickly," Vegeta thinks, in a complete state of urgency. He begins to concentrate his energy, releasing from his body an intense amount of destruction energy, emanating the brilliance of the superior power of Shinken. While doing this, Vegeta focuses on the power of Iwan that he's trying to contain, and then he screams with all his might. At that moment, from the center of Iwan's energy, his own energy begins to emerge, expanding within the massive power. The Saiyan's energy spreads in a way that simply occupies the place of Iwan's energy, and then undoes the power of the first Hakaishin into millions of energy flakes which disappear afterwards. After doing this, Vegeta returns to his base form, then floats down to the planet's surface and simply collapses on the ground, very out of breath. "Damn, I almost couldn't make it," he comments to himself. Zeno asks Daishinken what just happened, since that extremely massive power of Iwan simply vanished. Daishinken explains that using the superior destructive power of Shinken, Vegeta destroyed Iwan's energy. Zeno is shocked by this, saying that he didn't think it was possible to do something like that with such dense energy. Daishinken says that normally it wouldn't be, but thanks to Shinken, Vegeta elevated the power of his Hakai to a transcendental level, and then he managed to do it. This was an absolutely impressive feat, since Vegeta simply destroyed an energy that had the potential to destroy multiple universes without leaving a trace and without causing great harm to what was around. This control over his own power is worthy of a true superior being. In Universe 7, Goku and Cumber have just felt Iwan's energy disappear. Goku smiles and says he knew Vegeta would handle it. Cumber is very irritated and says it's impossible that a power like that was repelled. Goku tells Cumber that his turn has come, and now he will feel the power of the universe that he terrorized so much. Goku increases the pressure of the spirit bomb, and unable to hold on any longer, Cumber is absorbed by the energy. Inside the spirit bomb, the evil Saiyan begins to scream as he feels the energy of all beings in the universe that he terrorized so much, and this makes Cumber desperate. Goku says, "No matter if you're immortal, with this power, your body will be completely disintegrated, and you'll never be able to recover," which is almost the same as dying. Finally, he bids him farewell. "Goodbye, Cumber. You were very powerful. It's a shame you used all that power for evil." While listening to Cumber's screams of despair, Goku expands the power of the spirit bomb even more, and then makes it explode in a true spectacle of light. After a colossal effort, Goku finally manages to hit Cumber with the spirit bomb, while Vegeta saves multiple universes from instant destruction by the extraordinary power released by Iwan. Is this nightmare finally over? Find out in the next episodes of Dragon Ball Shinken.